This episode is sponsored by Collins Morgan. If you live in Scotland and are struggling with debt, act now. Call us or visit our website, Collins Morgan. We listen, we advise, you decide.
The blue, totally out of the blue to me. It was Peter Cormack who was his assistant manager, and he spoke to Joe.
Kind of disappointed at the severity of the sentence that got in there.
Yeah,
there comes a time, there's a breaking point, you go fuck this.
Well, yeah, I've dealt with them all.
Maybe like 6 times now or something. It's like, but back in the day, now it's like, oh shit, we want a headline. Yeah, but it's like when we were headlining, we were just like
things they were comparing Paige's murder to was she's a wee girl.
Peter compared me to Dennis. People say, you know,
where did you buy your lottery ticket?
Hello and welcome to this week's Anything Goes show with me, James English. We're joined this week by the guest you've all been waiting for, Mr. Paul Ferris. How are you, Paul?
Pleased to meet you, James.
Pleased to meet you, and thanks for coming on the show.
Pleasure, not a problem.
How's things?
Good. Looking forward to the podcast. I know we're a bit late. Alex Arthur was supposed to come and do a joint one with us, but he's obviously busy. He's training these young boys through the boxing academy, and he'll obviously get an opportunity to do it on his own.
Definitely.
At some other stage. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that as well.
Good.
This is a great setup as well. Devonshire Gardens. I must be moving up in the world there.
Well, the last time I was here, in fact, it was a meeting I had with Bobby Carlyle.
Aye, the actor.
Aye, Paul Kerr, brother of Jim Kerr, organised the meeting on the basis of Bobby Carlyle going to play me in the proposed movie.
The wee man?
The Wee Man. It wasn't specifically called The Wee Man at that time. It was just an introduction to me to Bobby Carlyle and moving things on. But it soon became apparent that when I was sitting having a meal with Bobby, he was saying to me, what the fuck are we doing here? I've no the script, I've no had nothing. And I think it was just a PR stunt with Paul Kerr. And I don't mind that at all, but not to get good people to come to venues and there's the hope there's no prospect of moving on to a project, because the normal position we've got to know now is any actor will need to get a script put in front of him before that they even consider taking a role on. So the kind of irony with Bobby Carlyle was he mentioned a lot of people for Paisley, and I thought, how do you know them? I used to run a book with them, and I thought, well, how did you never get into trouble, Bobby? He said, well, I left them. They went that way and I went to academy, the drama school. I went, good on you. So it was just an informal thing. Nice to meet him. He's an absolute icon. And
he's an A-lister?
He's an A-lister.
Was he on the running for playing the part of the wee man?
Initially, the only indication that we got was off through Paul Kerr at the start. And it's kind of strange, we're back in Devonshire Gardens again, but if Bobby's ever listening, but thanks for his time and opportunity, but it was just something in which to try and play me nowadays, he's a wee bit too older.
You can maybe play your dad.
No, it's something else.
We can, like I say, Paul, I don't sit with any questions and we just case that roll with it. So we'll go right back to the start, where you grew up and what you get involved in and how it all began.
Yeah. A lot of people say that when they're born in Glasgow, they're born in a variety of different hospitals. I was actually born in Blackhill, in the house, in 19 Hogginfield Street, on the 10th of November 1963. And there's a few people that had been born in their houses in that particular time because the proximity between Blackhill and the Rotten Row, which was the maternity unit. So for me to be born in the house, there's a bit of history of me there in Blackhill and the address. And then growing up through that was it's something in which you don't, it's mostly with all kids, they grow up into an environment where they adapt. And one of the things I remember very early on was when my dad was sent to prison for a bank robbery. It became apparent that I was aware that most people in Blackhill had people, family members who were in and out of prison. And the total irony is, if you never had anybody in your family that never been in prison, you were looked upon with a bit of suspicion. So it's a reverse circle, So growing up in that environment, went to St Philomena's, experienced a couple of years of bullying, and then went through there to St Roch's, down in Royston. And basically growing up within that period, they came... I was aware at a very young age about death. My granddad had died, and when my dad was in prison, my granddad stayed in Provenmill, and he was like my second kind of dad, sort of thing. And I remember just gardening and different things like that with him. And when he passed away, he was in hospital for quite a while. When he passed away, it was the McGinty family is my mum's side. So my dad was Thomas McGinty. And because it's a Catholic family, it's a big Catholic funeral. The coffin comes into the house and all the family members go and pay their respects. I know a bit more about it now, but I never knew then. But I remember standing in the hallway with the rest of the family and to go in and just kiss the coffin. I kissed my granddad in the coffin. And my recall is for eye level, I had to get lifted up to go in and kiss my granddad. And I was horrified because it wasn't him. I'd rather have remembered my granddad when he was alive. I'm sure people who have lost...
What age were you, Paul?
Maybe about 7, 8.
Do you think because your dad was in the jail and your granddad died, do you think at such a young age, do you think the change came after then a wee bit?
No.
You never really had anybody to...
No, I think when most people were looking for father figures, if that either could be an uncle, could be a granddad, could be an older brother, could be a neighbour, So it's just somebody that you've got that affinity, that kind of connection, that you feel comfortable because it's family. But that at a very early age, I remember waking up as vividly as we're talking just now, thinking nobody lives forever. Now, as a kid, nobody lives forever. And accepting the fact that one day we all die. So very early on, I was receptive to a lot of things, purely because the trigger mechanism was seeing my granddad in the coffin, which obviously I can't remember him being like that.
Was it a sudden death?
I can't remember. I know he was in hospital for quite a while. I remember going to see him in hospital, but for my recollection, he'd been a big cheery man and to somebody like that.
A big character losing the family.
It was a bit of an impact. It was. And I don't remember being at the funeral, maybe too young to be at the funeral, but part of the tradition, the whole Catholic ceremony, including the coffin that was left in situ in the bedroom, for all the family members to come pay their respects, that's a tradition. And if I never seen my granddad in that position, I still have fond memories without that. But it's again, kids exposed to a variety of different elements when they're growing up, what they remember, what their recall is. So that was my first kind of indication on my granddad's gone.
Did that make you scared of death, or kind of no, fuck it kind of mentality there?
It's probably, I think you're too young to be frightened.
It's only
I
7,
think you're naivety, but what I think it was more to do with was realising that there is a death and appreciating what you've got while you're here. But again, at a very early age, that's what I remember, that's the trigger mechanism.
Because obviously, in all your interviews and books, you always speak about the bullying kind of trigger points in your life where it's fight or flight. It's either you sit back and accept it, but for yourself, you had the clicking point, the breaking point of going, I'm not taking this anymore.
Well, that never happened right away, James.
Oh, was that?
No. When you touched on the fight or flight, I done a lot of flight because I never liked pain. Nobody likes pain. But when you get to a situation where you've run away that often, it's a matter of time you get caught. You need to get back to school. You need to get back and face them. And what I remember is I got a worse clipping, a worse slapping about. And when I say bullying, it's bullying to an extent where it could be threatening, could be. Mine was physical. Mine was the odd punch, kick, dead leg, and all the rest of it, all the way through it. So when I had done the enough running, I stood my ground, not to fight, just stood my ground and took the bullying. And I tried to describe it to a lot of people, but I held it back for many, many years, James. I never spoke to anybody about it because we were brought up not to tell tales. You know, so I told my mum that many lies. You can back with a black eye and your clothes are ripped. That I fell downstairs and I fell upstairs and ran into this gate post, and nobody knew about it. I kept it to myself. And it was only years later when Alex Arthur done an interview, and they were asking him about his boxing career and what was it like to get your first punch in the face as a boxer. And I'm listening to the interview. I love Alex. I like what he's doing. He's a great icon, a great sportsman. But he's very, very articulate, very good at how he's describing the tactics of boxing, and great commentator. And part of the interview, he said that he became punch resistant during the process here. And no doubt Alex know on his own and that, because most boxers become punch resistant. And when you become punch resistant in that environment, me listening to his interview, I thought, if you get exposed to too much fear when you're younger, you tend to become fear resistant. So it helped me to explain. I wasn't brave. I couldn't run away. I'd done enough flight. There was no fighting. So there's a middle ground, James, where you become fear resistant and pain resistant because these people want to see you crying in front of them. It was sore, don't get us wrong. It was sore. I would never cry in front of them, but maybe I did on the way back home to my mum, but that's another matter. But the element of becoming fear resistant was, again, very early stages on in your life, that to be exposed as a kid for the physical bullying, it's still, bullying lasts a lifetime. You'll never get rid of it. It's still always there. And even as today, even if I was to leave here and walk somewhere, and if I saw one of them, if I get the self-control to keep my hands to myself, are you reformed enough not to be vengeful? And people would say, well, he's still talking about it, he must be still vengeful. It's because of memory.
Ingrained into your DNA.
It never goes away. So when people say there's therapy, there's help there is self-help. You need to help yourself before anybody else can help you.
Of course, you could be the nicest man in the world. If you see somebody hitting your kids or whatever, everybody's got that trigger point where they can just snap, Paul. You could be losing a loved one, you could be losing a job. People just get sick of being sick, if you know what I mean.
Bullying is not just synonymous to school. It was because my dad was in prison, my brother was in prison, so I had no male members of the family for me to talk to. And again, being brought up not to tell tales. You keep it, you suffer it. But bullying, I'm a big activist for anti-bullying, and I hate people who do bully other people. And I remember situations at school wondering when somebody's going to come and stop this. And for me to notice something, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's on the street, whether it's male, female, or whatever the situation is, if I recognise it and walk away from it, you might as well be taking part in it. So I do get involved in things that's got absolutely nothing to do with me. People quite rightly could point out and say, well, what the fuck's it got to do with you?
But people are always going to point fingers and do that, but there's a lot
as long as you don't do it for the witness box.
There's a lot of stuff now. It's, like I say, it's not just physical bullying now, Paul. It's a lot of mental bullying with social media stuff as well.
Well, I've done a kind of study on that. I became a micro-blogger by accident. That's me a decade as a micro-blogger.
What's a micro-blogger?
Micro-blogger, somebody who's on social media, either through, I've not got a Facebook.
Because you've got a big following.
Well, on Twitter, that happened by accident because somebody was pretending to be me.
Were they?
They were, aye, and the only way I get round it was
That caused a lot of trouble.
Well, I read through the Twitter feed, and it was funny. But if I let it go, and this guy who was pretending to me, and they've got an audience there thinking it's me, whatever he says on it, people are going to take your words for good or ill. And that's what became a danger to me. That's what became, I need to resolve this. And the only way I could resolve it was by getting my birth certificate, my passport, my driving licence, copying it, scanning it, sending it to America to show that one of their main criteria is don't impersonate empty. So they get pulled off, and I got a Twitter account by accident, and I used it ever since. And it's been great, but there is bullying, cyber bullying, and we called it the keyboard gangster.
The shitebags are the biggest killers in
It's
the world.
not so much of that. It's maybe somebody that's. There's multiple things. It could be through jealousy. It could be somebody trying to spike a story.
A lot of people don't like their own life as well, so they try and bring other people down to try and make themselves feel better.
I think what I've done for the start of it was stick to the rules of Twitter. I'm not on Facebook. People think I'm on Facebook. There is Paul Ferris, he's on Facebook. They're definitely not me, definitely not my son. But you do get the same position. And the reason why I never went on Facebook, because I know enough about facial recognition, that every time you're uploading a photograph, it's not you gave that copyright to Facebook, and then they can print or do what they've got to do.
Use that anywhere.
I was never a big fan of Facebook. That was more of an intelligence gathering network for the embryonic stages of facial recognition. That was my views on it. It probably still is.
I think it is.
And no doubt Mark Zuckerberg will be looking at it and going, it's a network gathering exercise.
It is. I like to say a lot of the big agencies use that in America. That's where it all started for face recognition. As soon as somebody uploads a photo, that gets stored in a database. Like I say, when you use Facebook, if people talk about gambling or drinking, Facebook will upload stuff onto your page. Gambling, drinking, they know what you're talking about.
Well, it's third party. They harvest information and they send that out to third parties, and you get spurious emails and different things like that. Twitter's a different ballgame altogether. I started that, and it's now got close on 40,000 followers. People say, "Oh, you get 40,000 fans." I've not got fans. I don't want. I don't merit having any fan base, because I've done nothing to have a fan base. I might have some interesting parts that people want to follow my life and say, well, and sometimes with the books, when I done the early parts of the books, the compliments I got back and the feedback was that people in my age that had younger kids that were maybe going off the rails a wee bit, they were throwing the book down and saying, if you think that fucking life you're going to lead's glamorous, you read that. So some of the books became anti-crime. Well, no anti-crime,
Aye. To not glorify it.
Not to glorify anything, but if I was to tell a different story, a better story, I would. There is elements in which there's people who are still alive and well, and I can't explain it. But there's elements in that it's the same as, what's your favourite food, James?
I love my lentil soup.
To see your ingredients, whatever the story is, as long as you keep your ingredients to what it is, you can call it whatever. You can call it plain soup. You can call it whatever dish you want to call it. Don't mess about with the ingredients. That's the same way with true crime. True crime, what I learned for true crime through Reg Mackay was elements of faction, where you're giving the flavour and changing the name wherever it is. So as long as you're keeping true to the flavour and keeping it real as it is, it moves on a bit better.
Good. Like I say, you're a box office name, and even though you don't want fans,
Is it a big box or wee box?
I think it's a big box. Like we've had, I think we counted just over 6,000 messages for yourself to come on the show. You've got 5 books now, blockbuster film, for a boy for a scheme to what you're doing now, and we'll touch on that near enough at the end. But it's unbelievable, and you've got to give yourself enough credit to realise I've came for the fucking life I've came for to what you're doing now. A businessman, doesn't matter about your past. It's all about the present and the future.
But
to write these books,
there's a starting process. The starting process is it'll go back to my granddad, experiencing death, family death, mourning.
Do you think you had to grow up a lot faster then without your dad or your brother?
I think you had to in that environment. It's either sink or swim. You know, you accept it. And what I remember, even that middle ground of fight or flight, I had a middle ground of tolerating the physical abuse and the pain. but becoming very angry and very bitter at a very young age. You know, so and knowing that I'm going to do something about it one day, but I don't know when. So that's
Like a
how
build up.
it is a build up, and where it kind of popped in my psychological position as well as physical position was I knew I was leaving primary school to go to secondary school, and for me, I was leaving childhood to get into this big world, and there was something there that snapped, and I remember it. It was fear, and people talk about, oh, they're frightened of this or they're frightened of other things. Only people who know real fear for a childhood or for something that they can pinpoint to and say, you don't really experience fear until you experience near death. Near death to me was, am I going to survive these beatings? You don't know, you're not a professional medic. You're not professionally astute enough to know what injuries you're going to get. All you can do is instinctively cover your face, cover your things, and that's basically what it is. So these trigger mechanisms that comes onto it, and going through some of the aspects that you learn through the early parts, the death of family, the fear of school, and I popped out in this skin disorder, and because you're from Black Hill, and you go and see a doctor in Townhead medical practice, normally they associate it with scabies, and this was something that was identified as psoriasis. And it took many, many years for them to discover, because psoriasis is usually hereditary. It's a genetic deformity to do with your blood. And basically all it is, it's something that happens in a psychological position that releases a toxin into your system. And the only way that toxin can out your system is through your skin pores. And when that does happen, your skin reacts and repairs 100 times faster than normal. So therefore you get dry skin. When you get dermatologists treating it, that's only the outside. What they need to treat is the psychological impact and how it happened. So what I studied was, how did I get this? I had 95% body mass at one time. So when I rejoined secondary school, I missed the first year. So I was the oldest when I was in there, and the sporting activities, couldn't go swimming because I told lies I had a perforated eardrum, just out of embarrassment. Became a goalkeeper because you could wear a tracksuit, which was all right. But as the years went on, the other people grew up and they could head the ball even when I'm trying to jump for it. So the sporting activities I played for the school, St Roch's, the juniors, I played for St Philomena's. So basically having an interaction that you've got a tracksuit, you don't see it, you become part of a team. And I loved that. You know, and there was nobody ever wanted to go in goals anyway.
So you always had a game no matter what.
I volunteered, and then as things has gone on, it's to do with life skills. So everything that I've learned as a kid and growing up in the university of life, I can talk through the journey that I've went, rather than an academic reading it for a book. Now, academics spend a lot of time, they go and study sociology, criminology, or whatever their field is that they want to go and study. I'm trying to get them to come on board with other programmes that I'm doing on the basis that if you get field experience, somebody who's travelled the journey, as well as somebody who's selling a brochure for the holiday or whatever academic study they're doing, there's a need for a fusion between people who have travelled the journey and people as academics.
I think it was a bit, it would have been a lonely journey for you as well then, Paul, obviously, with people going to first year, meeting new pals. You've missed that first year, probably in your house, and like scared to interact with people, embarrassed, and then obviously with the bully added onto that, that's when everything's kind of blew up. What year was that? What age were you when you done, I'm not having it anymore, I'm sick of being scared and embarrassed. And
I can remember exactly. I was probably about in between 15 and 16 years of age. We used to go for Black Hill to Ridbury. There was a couple of girlfriends, just like youngsters meeting on a street corner. And then that's when we started drinking like iron brew and whiskey and vodka and mixing things up, because if you're walking about the streets, cops, they stop you. You know, if you get alcohol, they'll take you back and you get that. I was never a big drinker. Did abuse solvents, and probably abused some of the alcohol as well. But one occasion, when we seen one of the older members of Black Hill coming for a pub in Ridley, me and a friend of mine, Stuarty, decided to walk him home, because he was a bit drunk. But Stuarty had a plastic bag with a couple of cans of beer in it and a bottle of iron brew with some whiskey. And our intentions were good enough to get him up and walk him over into Black Hill. But he turned on Stuarty and started kicking fuck at him, you know, and took the alcohol off him. And at that stage we were carrying knives. Everybody carried knives. You never had a knife on you, you might as well go out with no pair of shoes on. That was part and parcel of what you've got. And it was part and parcel, if your mate had one, you had one, everybody had one. And the thing about it is, if you've got a knife, you're going to use it. If you've not got a knife, then you can't use it. On this occasion, I did use it, and I done it on the basis that he was assaulting a friend of mine, and I've had enough of it. And that was my first interaction into violence. I was never physically well built for square goes. Matter of fact, square goes and Queensbury rules was a way back in Victorian era. Nowadays it's all about, well, in my day at that time, no sounding like an old, you old guy, but back the day, there was people still, you sort it out with your fists and all the rest of it. And isn't it, that's only a fight, it's to win the battle.
What was the feeling for you the first time you did it?
I felt as though I'm going to do this again.
Did you get a buzz for it?
No get the buzz for it. I got who was going to get it. And I mentally went out on missions to get them, and it was the same ones that was bullying me. That's how it ended up.
How many were bullying you then?
It was a big family. Don't really want to dwell on it, as though you're playing a violin, like, oh, poor me. This.
I know, but
bullying happens everywhere. It's how you deal with it,
exactly.
But my particular thing was, it was a big family. They had older brothers, maybe 20 years older than me, and then had younger brothers, maybe 10 years younger than me. So the one at my age, Martin, we'll call him, he was at my age. And we had, if there ever such a thing as a school fight, it was fucking handbags at dawn or something. You know. So I must have won, because his brother came back and then he took him and beat the shit out of me while I'm playing marbles. And what I remember is, anybody who's played marbles who may not even know how to play marbles, is you need to get down and play it on a kind of an iron grid with holes in it, usually a drain. In the school, so you're down there either on two knees or one knee, and all that I can remember is a bad taste, because somebody ran up and gave me a penalty kick right in the face, and then I remember lying on my back and looking up and trying to avoid things. People try to stamp your face and get a kick in, and that was the worst one I remember. So on that basis, the pain threshold was, of course you felt it. You need to be superhuman not to feel it. But again, it's all life skills. Would you take it? Would I do it again? And that was a catalyst that started it. So going back to when a friend of mine was assaulted by this elder guy that we were wanting to escort back to Black Hill, just to make sure he's all right. He's drunk. Maybe somebody was wanting to rob him or whatever it is. We were doing the right thing and they turned on us. For me, to do something like that with defending myself, people might say that, why did you use a knife? Because I had it on me. If you have a bottle of whiskey in your pocket, you're going to hit me a bottle of whiskey. If you had a half brick liner or something, you'd have used something to defend yourself and to defend your friends. And that's how it happened. So there was I'd lost a lot of fear when I eventually got to a situation lying in a hospital bed, surrounded with student nurses, and this dermatologist was talking to me because, first of all, they were trying to determine how do you get psoriasis, how did he get psoriasis. So I was a kind of an anomaly because it's usually hereditary. It's a genetic deformity, it comes down. But in certain circumstances, there's a trigger mechanism that kicks it off. So during the process of lying in this hospital bed in Stob Hill with the students round about, the doctor's asking questions. And they're asking questions on the basis, are you being violently treated with your parents? I know where he's coming. He's got to ask the questions. Are you in fear in your own house? You know, he's ticking all these boxes off. And when I told him that my dad was in prison and during this period, and I used to go up and visit my gran and recognise toast and beans for my supper, toast and beans for my lunch, and toast and beans became, where's my dad? After a while. So when you get in a situation where I've told him about the bullying, and he stopped and he looked at the rest of the students, and that's when I knew at 15 years of age it was the bullying that caused it, and that made me even more angry.
Because it wasn't just affecting you mentally, it was affecting you
I
physically.
I never wore a t-shirt till I was 28.
See, obviously, when you had the trigger point, did it ever go away when you never really, when you had that mentality, I'm not taking it anymore? Did it
No, I think what it develops, it's character development. It builds you into a situation where genuinely, when I say, people think he's devoid of feelings, he's devoid of this. I was devoid of fear because if you expose something at a very early age, whatever it is, then you're going to be devoid of it later on. They're going to be like touching on Alex Arthur about how he becomes punch resistant. I became fear resistant, not through courage, just through the amount of beatings.
just adapting to it?
So when you're 15, 16, it's bad enough growing up as a young boy, finding your way in life, but one of my biggest assets was I was always up for anything, but and that's what happened.
So that's 7 or 8 years of doing that as well. Do you think because you'd suppressed it as well, with no able to speak to anybody, that's when it came to a head?
No, I couldn't speak to anybody about it because you're not to tell tales. My dad brought me up not to tell tales. If my dad was there, I'd be able to talk to my dad. My brother was there, I'd be able to talk to him.
Do you think it would be a different story with your life if you opened up about it and spoke to somebody?
Hindsight's great. You know, you could revert back on and say, well, maybe if I knew the lottery was going to be existing, I'd put my numbers in first month. You know, so where do you really start?
I know.
And it's good to look back and say, look back to learn is great. But hindsight, there are loads of things in life, James, that a lot of people would want to look back on, and it's great. But when you're faced with the realities and you're asked to explain it, there only is one story I can give, and if I could give a better story than it.
But it's great, again, you can identify it and come on and speak about it.
Oh, at the time, I never. You know, the whole
I
point
know
of
then.
it. And I think it's quite ironic when you hear
Police sirens, what have you done?
normally I'd be ducking under the table if I was active. So it just shows you that the response systems that I think character building, you become immune to a variety of different things. And it's when you get a bit older and wiser, you can look back and go, this is what caused it. This is what the remedy is. Are you prepared to put yourself up front for you, me personally, to explain? And we come to a point about bullying on the basis that I've been asked that many questions for fathers, mothers, about maybe their sons or their daughters that have been bullied. What do they do about it, Paul? And I'd love to tell them what I feel that I would like to tell them, but again, you're getting back to you're held responsible for your words, for what you say. So I tell them a story about what happened to me and whether that is relevant in their life. Maybe somebody's went through the whole life, never been bullied and got a job. It'll still happen, and they'll still continue it, and there's a hatred there about. There's a fear of waking up every morning that you need to go to school. I used to pace it every morning going to school.
Take your time.
And then I studied psychology on the Pavlovian theory with the dog and the bell. That was me and the school bell.
Explain that, Paul.
Well, my mum went to work in the morning as a domestic cleaner in the Royal Infirmary, and I had to go to school. So I used to walk round and my mum would get the bus for Provenmel Road to go to school. And I would time it with my pace to get to a set of traffic lights at Provenmel, up past Provenmel, onto Royston Road, waiting for the traffic lights to go and I hear the bell for everybody to line up at school. That's my comfort zone. After the running away episodes and all that, my comfort zone is I go and stand in a queue to go into class, and then you get lost in education. And then there's another bell, which is lunch, which the fear kicks in. And then you're repeating it again coming back to school. So there is an effect that happens on, I'm not saying I get bullied every day, but the whole point about it felt like every day with this bell. And it's not until you're old and you realise about the Pavlovian theory, about how he rung the bell and he treated the dog and to come in to listen to the tune.
Conditioning.
It's conditioning.
The brain, like I say, the brain, I believe it always say it takes 21 days to break a habit, 21 days to create a new one. So if you're doing that for 21 days, it just becomes a habit.
Well, the thing about it there is, if you're putting a time scale on it, then you're limiting somebody to. It might take more than 21 days, but the rule of thumb, I've got a 12-week basis. Purely the first 4 weeks is acclimatising. The second, fourth week would be to realise what you've done and where you're going. And then the last 4 weeks is about your aims, goals and objectives and how you've learnt through that.
So see bullies, I think we should touch on them. It's a lot of conditioning with them. A lot of them are insecure, a lot of them are scared, but they use that, portray violence to try and deflect it away from they're actually hurting, and maybe they're not academically clever enough to be at school. So you kind of find your bullies are the ones that are in the foundation classes, the lower grade classes. And
I think what you've got is there's not just one apple on a tree. There's a whole variety of different apples. And the analogy that I'm using there, James, is maybe a bully doesn't know they're a bully. Maybe they've been accustomed to that way of life. Or so, if somebody knows what they're doing wrong, then they're a bully and going and doing what they're doing. It could be a verbal bully with social media, going on and there's a whole variety of different things. But I would like to think I'm an antidote towards bullying, because I'd love to sit down with a bully, a recognised bully who maybe want to change and don't know how to change. They might be 6'2" or whatever it is. They might be driving cars with sirens on it and with badges, thinking that they're impervious to certain things. I don't know what they're doing, but it's the whole episode, and people like that when you hear the sirens going. Abuse a uniform, abuse a badge. The same with prison officers, know them all. Same with police officers, know them all. People abuse their position. You might have somebody in a working environment that's just been made general manager, who used to be on the shop floor, who had a hard time. So there's many branches on the tree of bullying.
you're a very intelligent man, Paul. You choose your words carefully, and the way you speak, you're like a bit of a politician. You speak very clear, your words are great. And even with the bullying stuff, was there anybody would they ever get into politics? Would you like to debate with anybody?
The thing about politics, I've never been one for politics, but purely because I was brought up in an environment recognising years later that my dad was a Protestant and my mum was a Catholic. And Glasgow's synonymous, I mean, people that I used to meet in London, there was one in particular, a big Yardie friend of mine, he was worried about, are they racist in Scotland, in Glasgow, Paul? And I had to be honest and say to them, to be quite honest with you, they're too busy being fucking bigots to be racist. If you turned up there with a scarf, red, white and blue, half of the city is going to support you. Or if you turn up with a scarf and it's green, white and gold, the other half are going to adopt you. An alien falling out the sky that's red, white and blue. It doesn't matter about your race or your colour. It's to do with who you identify with. And Glasgow's always been synonymous for that. So I might shout and bawl for 90 minutes, that's where it ends. The political spectre, I don't get involved in politics. I'm what you call apolitical. But I study politics. I can see manoeuvres that people that try to do.
Would you ever have a debate with anybody? Was there anybody you like to sit in front of?
There was one in particular recently. But if I start to the first politician that I ever actually heard was Tommy Sheridan.
Tommy?
And Tommy Sheridan went to prison for his beliefs down in Faz Lane. Tommy became a political threat to the establishment because of what he was doing. Tommy's somebody who I class as a friend.
Aye, Tommy's a great guy.
And I'll never duck that.
Fighter for the fighter for the
He's
people.
went through, and his wife Gail went through all that nonsense with newspapers and all the rest of it, purely because they had to demonise him in the eyes of potential voters.
Discredit him.
That's what I notice, but I'm not involved in politics. The other recent one is, again, mixing bullying with politics was, there's a political activist for England that came up to trap an SNP in a library to ask him to repeat something that was said under parliamentary privilege. And I could understand that, because if somebody's using parliamentary privilege, they're exempt from libel laws. And the guy who was up at Yaxley had cornered this, Tony Robinson. He changed his name, no, he changed his name, but his name's Jackson. He cornered this SNP politician, and it was more like a challenge, you know. And it was like, to me, reading it, it's as though there was an English invasion force up here to attack somebody from Scotland on the basis that could he get this MSP to repeat what was said, but with parliamentary privilege. And he was wanting to ask him two questions. If that MSP was to repeat that, there could well be legal situations for him. That, I mean, if somebody says something about me in parliamentary privilege, I can understand what Tony Robertson was trying to do. He's trying to corner the guy into saying what he's saying.
Answering these questions.
With that remit, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that you could want to go and challenge in England without coming to Scotland and doing it.
But like I say, that debate, would you ever have a debate with him, Tommy Robinson? Tommy Robinson.
I'm not into politics, but
to sit and discuss these situations. Like I say, to come up to Scotland and understand what he's trying to do. But again, do you think that's a sense of a wee bit of bullying for a guy who's...
I think the bullying aspect is you've got an elected Scottish official in a library that has not got the freedom of movement and has got a genuine fear of being accosted for something that's to do with politics. There is bullying involved in it. And if Tommy Robertson wants to come up to Scotland to be a bully, I might be a wee bit an antidote for bullying. I'm not to talk. He wants to talk about politics. I love to talk to him about politics. Don't know what his political agenda is. I know what the SNP stands for, the Scottish Independence. Do I believe in an independence? I think I do. It's one of these situations where to get involved in politics, it would mean going back into supporting either a Rangers agenda or a Celtic agenda. I don't think there's many Scottish agendas. The Rangers agenda is to do with unionism and loyalism, and I can respect and understand that because I've got family in it. The same way I can respect other family members who are nationalists and proud Irish patriots. So for me to get involved in politics, you end up falling out with family.
Aye.
But for somebody in the calibre of Tommy Robinson, who's actively involved in debates, why don't you ask him?
Well, I'll say to him, like I say, we'll tag him in.
Well, the
it, so-
agendas,
so- Aye,
you know,
I'll
it's
just
just-
try and talk. Aye.
It's whatever
I think
political.
people, like I say, with politics, a lot of people, they say they're trying to help people, but all they seem to do, not just talk about Tommy Robinson, but other people just seem to argue and fight. For me, it's everybody's just divided, and if they're divided, I think people are easier to control.
What I've noticed with politics is that they do manifestos. They tell the general public and potential voters how good they're going to make their lives. And they promise everything, anything under the sun. And this is all politicians. There's some good in believing what they do, but a party political agenda is 9 times out of 10 to get a manifesto put in place. And then when they convince so many voters and they come into power, the first thing you want to do is jettison and put the parachute on any promises they've made, because they're now in power and they don't need that. And they're in there for an extended period of time.
When did you start educating yourself, Paul? When did you start reading and really...
I think in St Roch Secondary School, I took a notion for English classes. And of linguistic skills, I had to Anglify and moderate my language from English families so that they could understand what I'm saying. And when you're living in England for quite a while and you get quite a broad accent, you kind of slip into, when you get back into the schemes and talking to your input when you're in language, your own dialect, sorry. But I think if you're doing, if you want to convey a message, I think you've got to be clear, concise, and give examples on what is it you're trying to say. But if you've got subtitles, then that was the irony with the Wee Man movie. Why was Patrick Bergin Irish? Why was Martin Compson not the same size of shoe as me? You know, where do you stop with these things? And you get different dialects for different people, and I think it's how you convey a message. Some people read body language, some people read handwriting skills or whatever the remit is, but I think the educational part of it is, firstly, St Philomena's, priming myself for going into the secondary school. When I eventually went in there, I was never in any trouble all the way through school till I was about 15, 16. And then when you've got prison education, and then when you're in a prison environment in England and spend 5 years in England, I know a lot of people spent a lot more time in England, but I think you've got to moderate your language in order to make sure that what you're saying is clear enough for somebody to listen to, in the event that they don't do exactly what you've said. It's not a mandate to tell them something, it's just a whole dialogue where somebody's asked you a question, you're trying to refine to make it absolutely clear what it is. Because if they go and fuck up on something, then you can say, did I not make myself clear enough? Was it a Scottish accent? Well, let me make myself clear on this point.
Because the name Paul Ferris, you've got the reputation. You're very well respected. The way you dress, you respect yourself, the way you speak. Like I say, it's for people, everybody's got that perception of a name or a man, but like I say, the way we've chatted a few times, and you always respect yourself, you come across and very genuine. But obviously when you read the books, and obviously it's obviously helped you further in life when you get into business. But we'll go straight back to where it all started again when 16 and 17, when that's when you eventually got the vengeance of the bullies.
I got the vengeance of the bullies, but there's an element before that, which one of the there was older people in Blackhill and surrounding areas, and the people who know who I'm talking about without naming names, they were prolific car thieves, and the claim to fame is, we used to stand at a street corner, they used to go actively searching for cops to chase them with the blue lights, and if somebody came into the scheme with a stolen car with the cops behind them, everybody was standing. It's like GTA, it's like some computer game now. And what happens is, when the older guys are finished with the cars, and they, what they call them, they're bailed out, they've ditched them, the younger ones like us would have a go at driving. And one occasion, that's what I done. Got arrested for it, got took to court, and was charged with car theft. And Reg Mackay, my co-author, literary partner and friend, was a senior social worker in Blackhill at the time. And he done a social inquiry report based on me. I never got any prison sentence. I was admonished for the charge in itself. And that was a taste of longer again. This was a taste of, you meet people in there, and when you get off the rails again, it's just wanting to be belonging to a gang. And that's all. I was just running about with like-minded people. It could have been somewhere else where you're born, you're instead of going and stealing cars, you're going to play an instrument, or you're learning a trade, whatever it is. There only is one story I can tell, and as far as people respect and all the rest of it, it's only because of the fact that you can't buy that. You are who you are. People, there'll be as much people detesting me and wondering why you're even giving me a platform to discuss anything. But these are the very same people who are social hypocrites. These are people who are pretending to be pillars of society in the community. What have they done in the last 30 years? I know what I've been doing. I know what I'm trying to change. And I'm actively, as a matter of fact, I got an invite this morning to get involved in a prison programme.
That's brilliant.
Young girl Natalie, to go back and revisit,
Aye.
to go back and revisit some of the things that I've had the journey on when I went off the path at the very early stages, Jim. So for 16, 17, I got a job, Waverley Vintners, which is a subsidiary of Scottish Newcastle Breweries. I was a van boy. Some van drivers were good, some were bad, some were indifferent. And on this occasion, I was getting £180 a week.
Then's a lot of
But
money.
then was a lot of money. I was paying my mum a dig money. I didn't drink, didn't smoke. So I accumulated maybe £200 or £300 over a couple of months period. And then one occasion, I'm sitting in the bedroom and I hear a car horn outside the bedroom window, and I looked out, and it was a beautiful big car. I think it was a BMW at the time, and it was a friend of mine, Johnny. And he's motioned for me to come down, but I'm no long back for work. I'm just getting something to eat. Told him to come up, and I thought he stole the car. I was going to say, "Can you park that away from my mum's just now?" He went, "No, it's mine." I went, "Where did you get that?" Can't tell you, we're doing this. But this time, the reason why he was up to see me is because they're looking for a driver, and they knew I could drive at that time. I was probably one of the best drivers about, without blowing myself. But, so he came up and asked me to drive on a mission where always asked me to drive this car, to stop at a jeweller's shop. He's going to run in, grab some jewellery, and you drive away. And I thought, right, well, much do you get for that? Well, let me give you something just now. He gave me £500. And I thought, I don't want that. And he said, no, you've got to have it, because I'm giving you. Think about it, and then go back to me, and then left. And I'm sitting in the bedroom thinking, I need to hide this £500, because if my mum finds it, where did you get that? And just so you know, my mum was so devout, she would never tell a lie for me or anybody else. My dad found that out at his own cost later on in years. So it's not as if I'm brought up in an environment where my mum's going to allow a lot of things. A lot of mums, I could never do any wrong in front of my mum's eyes.
I think a lot of times we've spoke as well, Paul, you've always respected your mum, you've always spoke very highly of her. And I think that's very important to see an audit. You weren't raised from parents who were alcoholics.
Well, the thing about there is, James, when people look at my background and look at other aspects, they tend to, sociologists, criminologists and psychologists, the whole umbrella, want to put you into a box somewhere for their box through an academic thesis on, well, social environmental conditioning. He was born in Black Hill, what do you expect? I never got any trouble till I was 16, so it doesn't tick that box. So you become a kind of a rogue element, a kind of a free radical. How did this happen in somebody's life? That's why I studied psychology. That's why I studied sociology and criminology while I was in prison. But you get certain traits for certain people, and every time I used to get in and out of prison, it was always the same people. And that's when I got the analogy about the revolving door syndrome. People were always in and out. They didn't know any better, other than the fact that I did have a legitimate job. I could have stuck to it, but the temptation, I'm looking at this £500 and going, it's nearly a month's wages. But unbeknown to my mum, she used to make the sandwiches, get my overalls done, go to work, and I never went to work. I was going robbing and driving with these people, and it wasn't until the cops arrived at my mum's door one time to say that I'm in custody, and she never believed them. My son's at work. And
Did that break your heart?
It did. That's why I moved away. I was bringing a lot of hassle. When you get a bit older, I was bringing a lot of hassle to my mum's door. And she went through enough with my brother. She went through enough with my dad. You know, she just wanted a bit of easy life. And then all of a sudden, blue-eyed the angels bringing unnecessary attention to the house. So I was consciously aware that I'm going to have to leave the nest. Leave your comfort, no worrying about paying bills because your mum takes all that. Walking into the big real life. So I went from Blackhill to Barrafield to my sister's, and it was just like one big thing to another.
That's where it kicked off with the. What age were you then when you left 18?
No, 16.
Still young boys, Paul, to be
16.
leaving the house, innit?
I had to leave the house because my mum wouldn't trust me to go out the door. Even if I got another job and I was saying to Mum, I'm going to work, she'd look at me and go, you told me that for months. I think she was really pissed off with the fact she's making sandwiches for me to go to work and I wasn't going to work for 4 months.
Like I say, it doesn't it? You can be raised as good as you can be and you can have the best parents in the world, but there comes a stage where you're going to meet friends and whatever and you're going to get caught up with what they do and it can be difficult.
People ask questions, excuse me, people ask questions purely on the basis that, how do you recall this? You could recall it for trigger mechanism. One of the things that I've got is an uncanny way of remembering things, and it's to do with impacting. And it's how to remember. Sometimes, as time goes on, you forget about it. That's how when they use the judicial process, that when they take statements or whatever it is, and they comment on why you made a no comment interview, and you should have said something at a very early stage. So the fact that your trigger mechanisms brings back a recall after a period of years. You might be a bit vague about it, but you still taste the same thing.
Like I say, any trauma or any event you've had bad in the past, or even good, the brain releases a chemical to the trauma you'd felt that day, so the brain doesn't know what's real and what's fake. So if you think about a trauma back in the past, the brain releases a chemical to the emotion you felt that day. So that's where a lot of people are stuck in the past as well, because they're constantly thinking about the past. Like I say, for you to re-educate yourself and understand the brain a bit,
it's re-engineering.
Your brain's like a circuit switch. You can rewire it, you can change it. And I think it's very important for anybody listening and watching, you can change your life no matter what age, no matter what you've went through as well.
I think on the basis of your audience, James, people might be sitting thinking, I can't change. Not me personally, their opinion of listening. It's to do with the avenues to build their confidence up first. That's what I told you about the 12-week thing.
Aye.
Other people have got a 21 day. Other people just want to go hardcore. There's a need for a medicinal purpose. People go and they take alcohol. People go and take substance. One of the things that I focused on was to look at substance abuse and using that word substance abuse so that anybody's got an alcohol problem, they're no alcoholics. Or somebody's got a drug problem, they're no junkies. Or somebody's got a prescription problem, they're still no junkies. It's a substance. You don't want to put these people into a box. What they're in a box is recognising they're abusing substance, and in order to come back for it, people have been on substances for that long, they actually forget who they are.
Aye.
And it's that re-engineering to go back. That's what I'm involved in. That's what I've been trying to get up and running in Scotland.
A lot of people who overdrink or take substance abuse, it is to hide for something. It's because they're not happy within, I believe.
I think it works short term, but when you become too dependent on it, that's where the problem is.
They've got a problem, and I believe, like everything in moderation, I'm not glorifying it, but for me it's trying to do things in life naturally and understand there's going to be speed bumps, understand that we're going to lose people, understand that bad shit's going to happen, but it's how we deal with these. And a lot of people are weak and soft in this generation, I think, Paul, where people are just, there's so many people I talk to who's got plenty of money and plenty of things that are addicted to.
It's not so much this generation, James, to be fair. You can take it away back when people never had nothing. There was no substance abuse apart from alcohol. People found comfort in other things, probably alcohol.
Gambling as well.
The gambling thing is they've convinced themselves, most of them convinced themselves they're going to win. I don't gamble. I understand gambling, same as politics, sometimes politics is a gamble to people.
Aye.
Right? But when you understand somebody's put so much effort and commitment either into their own life or their business or maybe their partner or their family, and they find something's not really working. And what helps them through that is the substance abuse, the alcohol, makes them feel better, makes them want to go and produce and do what they've got to do. So it's an aid, it's a benefit. And how to come back for that is people lose their identity. And when people look at reality and for what it is, 9 times out of 10, you have people listening to this and know exactly where I'm coming from. And I'm not pervious to it either. I've had debt letters for HMRC, creditors, phone calls and the house visits and all the rest of it. And it's no nice. It's no nice. But that's just the way it is. Other people have got other issues. How do they get themselves with it? They'll go and gamble. They'll go and gamble on the basis that they're going to win the lottery. They're going to win the horses. They're going to win the football. They're going to win the accumulators. And then they get so much money put into gambling. It's a bit like anybody who plays poker will understand somebody who's pot committed on their hand. They think they're like a better hand than anybody else. And they put that much money in that somebody raises it, that dents their confidence, that thinks he might have a better hand than me. So do you throw your hand in on the basis of what you've maybe put in the pot, or do you call it or raise it? That's the same as in life.
It's a gamble.
It is a gamble.
How long did your dad get, Paul, when he done the robbery?
5 years.
5 years? And am I right in saying it was the bank that he stole for, stopped the money for the security guards in Berlin and not getting paid that week?
Well, I never knew that. When I was a young
Is that
kid.
correct, aye?
It is correct, aye. And how I was reminded there was in the reception area in Berlin, they call it the dog boxes. And outside the dog boxes, there's like a chalkboard, your name goes on it. Next thing is, you can hear the bolt going and the door comes open. And prison officer looks right at me and goes, "Are you Willie Ferris's boy?" And I'm thinking, "Your fucking dad stole our wages." And I thought, is that good or bad? Then he slams the door. And another one comes up and goes, "You tell your dad, if you're any good a prisoner as your dad were, you'll do well in here, sir." So there was no threats. They thought it funny that I thought it funny after it. You know? A lot of people think it's funny as well, but what had happened in those days was when the wages get delivered and the money gets robbed, they don't get paid until the money comes. And I don't know if it was a Friday or a Monday, but they had to wait for the wages. So years later, it was still an impact in their mind to go, "Are you that guy's son that robbed the bank that stole our wages?" So that was the claim to fame, and it gave us a bit of. I broke the ice. You know, I'm in there as a first offender in an adult prison, and you've got the prison officers having a laugh and a joke with you, and kind of other people going, "Who's your dad?" I went, "A bank robber, isn't he?" Stole all your money.
Your life, obviously, between when you say it was 16 to 19 was jewellers, was all the jewelleries and all the turns you were doing. But then you became aware of Arthur Thompson when he came. Did he come? Because I know you've read the book.
No, there was a strange element where I never knew that the family that I was fighting against with the bullying was actually the family who was blamed or was involved in planting the bomb under his car. And what a lot of people don't know, James, is Arthur Thompson Senior had a driver, and that's where the bomb was planted under the passenger seat to kill him. And he decided to take his mother-in-law home that night, so he's driving. I don't know how powerful the bomb was, obviously killed his mother-in-law, but if they were specifically targeting him, do you not think it'd be under the driver's seat? Well, it's not under the driver's seat because they know he doesn't drive. He had a driver. And it was like one of the mafia things, the driver never turned up that day. So
Aye. So when you came under the attention, because I know you
it was an accidental thing. Blank McDonald I knew his family for many, many years. I was brought up with his younger brother, Alan. Ian was slightly older. And the first car that I bought with me and Alan McDonald, Blink actually nicked it off us. And I thought, he'll be paying for this. He'll be paying for that. So he invited me on board to get some money or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But he asked me to come and see him on the Provenma 1. People say that Thompson owned the Provenma 1. He never. It was Tennant's Breweries that owned it. It was a tenancy involved, and it was his brother that owned the pub. But Arthur Thompson had the aura where if he went in for a glass of water somewhere, he would be owning the place. You know, so when I walked in, Blink wasn't there. But I remember somebody shouting, "Oi, wee man," and it was Arthur Thompson Jr. Mentioning what I'd done to the Welshers and getting him a drink, and I don't drink, James, and I never done it for any other reason. But obviously they thought that their enemy is my enemy, sort of thing, and my enemy is their enemy. And it was put to me that, what you doing all this for, son, and you can get a right few quid, and we're done. Like an open invite. It's not an audition that you turn up and show them your CV. The CV's on the street. I eventually left there and spoke to Blink. He was a bit older and wiser at the time anyway.
I was 3 years older than you, eh?
I don't know if he's still older and wiser now. I'll tell him up. But no, he was the first guy to say, "What the fuck you doing with them? What do they need us for?" You know, so he could have came on the same journey, but he decided not to. I decided, I'm up for this.
Because I know your dad said to you not to do it
Dad
as well.
warned me. My dad never knew at a very early stage. I never told my dad a lot of things. But when my dad eventually knew who was associated, who was working for, he was quite specific. And he said, words to the effect, "What the fuck are you doing working with him? He's a grass police informant. Keep yourself away from him." And I knew better. And no doubt you'll have your listeners comment on the fact, if only we can rewind it back and listen to our dads. They were telling us stuff for our own benefit, but we knew better as kids. Hindsight's great, isn't it?
You mentioned
Because if
that.
I listened to my dad, probably wouldn't have went through half the nonsense.
How long were you working for? Because you've got a nickname, is it Robot? Where's that nickname come?
The robot came for, people got a misconception that my mother and father was incapable of looking after me, and I was adopted by the Thompson family. It's a myth, never happened. I only knew the Thompsons for a matter of, 18 months. I knew of them. They were within a couple of 100-yard radius in my parents' house in Black Hill. I knew of them. Do you get people that write crime stories about this long lost soul that was brought into the fold, and there's a photograph of me on the mantelpiece in Thompson's house that brought me up because I was much better than his son, and what the bollocks. There was no photograph on the mantelpiece. See, if there's
A
any
big
photograph-
portrait up the wall.
Is that no disrespect in his own family? You know, I never knew them well enough, but people who don't know us well enough, who don't know the streets well enough, it becomes more of a comic than anything else reading about it. So I was invited into the fold. I went in with my eyes wide open, irrespective of what Blink said, irrespective of what my dad said. I was a young boy, I knew better. And again, hindsight, you want to look back on it, maybe I shouldn't have. But it was just another chapter in the
Your
book.
journey. When you went, because I know you were on the run, and you went to a holiday home across, was that Arthur's house?
That was his flat in Rossa.
And the day you were there, did the screws come through the door?
Armed police came through there. My recollection is they never knew my partner at the time, Anne-Marie, was there. She was 6 months pregnant. They never knew there was a female in the house. I mean, at the time, did I hear it right? It was, you know what this is, you wee bastard, and you're going to get it with a gun back in your neck. And all the rest of it. And even when I was writing the book there recently, James, it all comes flooding back. And if Anne-Marie wasn't there, I think he would have pulled the trigger. Because it's not until years later I'm talking to who you would describe as people fighting for a cause, who tell me what goes on in Belfast, that a neighbour either side would hear 3 shots, but they don't know the sequence of the shots. So if a door goes in and somebody gets shot twice right away, and a third gun gets fired that gets put into their hand, then they've executed somebody because they've opened fire at them and just miraculously misses them all. You know, because nobody's going to take a bullet. You know, you see it in movies, like, hold on, we'll shoot you, and that's how I was shot them. So you have something that the ballistic, they know the forensics, they know the trajectory, they know what it'd be doing, where would somebody be standing. So, gun, kill the target and then fire the gun.
Did somebody tell them that you were there? And
I've got to have told them that, because it wasn't months later. I'm reading the we call depositions in England, but you call it statements in Scotland, and the solicitor prepares you for your case. And one of the certificates that was on it was a warrant to search the premises at 24 Argyle Street in Rossi on the 4th of December 1984. And it was either issued on the island that day or the day before it. Can't remember the specifics, but they knew I was there. The technology, the technical proficiency at that day, at that time, they wouldn't have known where I was. And if they did, they'd have arrested me in a controlled environment at the ferry terminal, waiting for Anne-Marie to come off.
Aye, it's true. That's true. Aye. Was that when you got your sentence? Did you get
I get,
5?
No. What had happened was the original plan was to whack me, kill me. When that never happened, because Anne-Marie was there, the plan B came up, and they supplied me with brown powder that you couldn't see the colour of it because it was in a green plastic bank bag, and it was a Freudian slip by the fool with a tool, I call him, George Dixon. The only way that he'd have known brown powder that was in it, because he must have brought it with him. You can't just take a green bank bag out, and it was shown through court. Even a professional toxicologist was asked in the witness box, put your finger in the bag, what colour's your finger? Light green. So to take it further for your audience, if you put a white piece of paper in it, it's light green. If you put a black piece of paper in it, it's dark green. So how can you tell it's brown powder? Unless you've already opened it, which you never, or you brought it with you, which you did. So they charged me with possession of diamorphic. They charged me with attempted murder. That's why I was on the run for an incident, a violent incident. They charged me with attempted murder, possession of drugs. There was other charges that I was out in bail for offensive weapons, which were, there's levels of courts. You know, you get a summary court, and then you've got a high court, and then these things would never have went to the high court. The maximum sentence was probably looking at 6 months. But what happened because of that was they collectively put it onto the one indictment called a charge sheet. And because the gravity of the offence, then they'll take you to a higher court. And the jury returned a not guilty by a majority. They could easily have turned a not proven. Again, I was only there myself. I can only tell the one story against 5 cops. 3 of them were armed. So they believed that, and then I got 18 months for an offensive weapon that I'd have probably got 6 months for if it was never at the High Court. But nonetheless, I was happy that I won the case, but kind of disappointed at the severity of the sentence that I got, and then into Ballini.
Do you think they were out to get you then? Do you think that's because you were making a name for yourself and the reputation was getting bigger?
I don't really know, James. It was just one of these things where it was come to a head where they could probably see where somebody's heading. I couldn't see where I was heading. But my view always was that anything that I was doing was in behalf of the Thompsons. Going back to try and collect finances. I was what you call a bagman, a debt collector. People think, oh, you turn up, kick somebody. No, you don't. I didn't like it, but if somebody genuinely couldn't pay, I'd go back and tell them. But I'd ask them first, don't, as long as you're sure, because I'll take it back and tell them. And there's a scene in the movie where it was a bit of faction. Arthur Thompson Jr. never done it when I was there. He went back up to say, it's my dad, you owe the fucking money to him, not him. He's not got any right to give you any time to do it. So
did you grow a close bond though, you and Arthur? Because I know you used to respect him.
what one?
The senior.
Arthur Thompson Senior was always well respected in Blackhill. He carried a big name. He was, if you want to believe the newspapers, the Godfather of Glasgow. His son, who I believe had set me up in Rossi. Now there's people that's been trying to rewrite history and saying, how could Arthur Thompson Jr. set you up for to be arrested or killed or fitted up with drugs in Rossi when he was in prison? He wasn't in prison. This was on 12th of December 1984 when I was arrested. Arthur Thompson Jr. was arrested February, March, along with a guy called Tam Bagan and another guy, Jonah Mackenzie. Months later.
Why did they not take the junior? Why did they take a dislike to you? Was it jealous?
I don't know. There wasn't any visible signs of dislike. You get back to touch on the robot scenario. It's like giving somebody a shopping list. You know, you need this needs done, that needs done. And to their surprise, I'm going back in and then I didn't drink, I didn't eat, I didn't socialise. I didn't go out to eat, I didn't socialise. And I was on the case 24/7 until it was done. And then I'd go back and sit down and say, that's done, this is done, that's done. And they couldn't believe half it. And that's where you get called the nickname, the robot. Nobody called it in my face, but so some people told me behind my back. They've just programmed something, put it into the back of your head, and fired you like a robot to do all these things. So I'm not blaming anybody else other than me. You talk about me being intelligent. If I was that intelligent, I should have watched it for that one, James. But I never. I expected to be welcomed into the fold. You do so much like you see in movies. Life's not like that.
Were you just getting used, basically?
A big use in that. Yeah.
And when did you open your eyes? 18 months later, say?
When did you open your eyes? When Arthur Thompson Sr. appeared in the witness box as a prosecution witness and pointed to me and said, after being asked who killed his son, he pointed at me and says, well, I know who fucking done it.
And that's obviously the respect goes then.
Does
that bring back a lot of memories, Paul?
It does, aye. Because any respect I ever had from before that was gone. And my dad's words are ringing in my ear, even when we speak now. So maybe we should listen to our parents a wee bit more.
We should. So for anybody listening, I was the same. I didn't listen to my dad, and yet everything he says was spot on through the years. I thought I knew everything. I'm not saying
everything my dad said was right, but what he knew about that was right. What demonstrated in front of me as a prosecution witness, bearing in mind, he didn't need to turn up to court. He's not compelled to turn up at court. Matter of fact, he was. I was also charged with an attempted murder on him. You know, so he was a Crown witness about a charge that I was charged with.
For the motor?
Yes.
Did you get charged with that?
Yes, I was. So he's turned up as a Crown witness for that and asked other questions.
What age were you, Paul, when this was all happening?
21.
Ken, young boy.
21, 22.
Young boy, ain't you? And to go, like I say, to go through all that, and see when he tried to stick you in at court and pointing fingers, did the respect go for him through the people who were high profile names back in the day?
Well, what you had was people in the public gallery that sat and heard it for themselves. There's other people that know about it, and that's why I think Ian MacDonald, Blink, the only criticism got with Ian is he might be a lot of things, but he's definitely not a cardiologist, right? I don't think he's got the professional capacity to determine that Arthur Thompson Sr. died of a broken heart because his son. He died of a heart attack through pressure that was done to him. You know, so The only criticism I got with Ian McDonald is he's not a cardiologist. On no point playing a violin that he was sad for the death of his son. If he was sad for the death of his son, he wouldn't be putting his son in so many positions. I've got sons that I wouldn't be putting anywhere near that position. So it was an open policy about crime. His father, senior, knew exactly what junior was doing. So
What is getting involved in.
the risk factor there.
The risk factor for that life of crime, for the profile you're at, Paul, you can probably maybe count in one hand, if you're lucky, that people actually live by 40.
Aye.
And that the high profile cases, like I said, because like your dad are in the jail for life, and there's a very, very few. This isn't just in Glasgow, this is the whole of the UK. There's very few men, guys at your calibre, that have actually changed their life and better their life.
But I think
scary to think.
Well, I think you've got a determined level, and the determined level is a lot of people might not know the path. All I'm trying to do is show them a different path, show the younger ones a different path without waving the finger. Because if we get back to listening to our dads again, listening to other people, you know, I'm not an authoritarian figure. I'm somebody through the streets that's been educated. That if they want to listen to, I'm not going to wave the finger at them. I'm going to say, are you capable of doing this? More importantly, do you want to help yourself? Because see, if you don't waste my time, because I'm not going to waste anybody else's time.
Because I think it's important that you've not raised your kids to be in that life, or obviously you've changed your life, but it's good to pinpoint that you're not wanting them to make the same mistakes as you, which is very important. You've obviously learned the hard way, which is a...
Well, if I can be a benefit of sharing it on, aye. But the problem you've got, James, the Scottish judiciary, the probation service, the substance abuse counsellors, I'm going to be asking them very serious questions. Why is there still a methadone problem 30 years later? Why is there the first multi-millionaire, drugs millionaire in Glasgow, Houlihan's the pharmacy in Possil? Why is Berlin prison still the single biggest user of methadone in Europe? As a controlling influence, they're not there to help them. They're just there to control them. They move on to another wing,
Make
till they
money.
get moved out. To make it's a drugs cartel.
$1,000,000%. but
Right,
it's
so I'm going to ask a lot of uncomfortable questions, James. So you talk about anything goes. I would be well up for that as well.
I think that's very important to pinpoint that. Like I say, more people die with pharmaceutical drugs, Paul, than any other drug in the world.
Well, there's a situation there in which people who've been getting methadone in prison have been recently getting injections. Not just now, I'm maybe talking couple of years ago. Before they get free, they get an injection which is an anti-opioid. I don't know the name of the drug, it's an anti-opioid which lasts in the system for so long. And the reason for that being, and how they started it, they were releasing people with methadone problems that were going right back with their discharge grant to go to their nearest smack dealer and buying the same amount that they bought before they went away. And then when they're taking that, because the methadone's in their system, it's an overdose. And the overdose it's to do with asphyxiation. It puts them, it comatoses them. The mixture between methadone and street heroin, or heroin and prescription tablets, or whatever it is, the methadone's still in the system. The injections they were getting, because there's too many fatalities. Young people just come out of jail, don't know, whatever they were used to taking and banging up or snorting or whatever it is, they just fell into a coma. The coroner's report or the autopsy report would dictate it is an overdose, a drugs overdose. The contributing factor of that overdose is methadone, because it's still in their system. They're used to the methadone. And then what gave the game away, when I'm studying the programme 2 or 3 years down the line, the only reason I get to know about it, James, is because people came out to prison and they were saying, oh, we get this thing now, we get a jag in reception before we get left, before we get out. And I asked, well, what's that? What's the jag? And I studied it. The reason why they got the jag was an anti-opiate. So they leave prison, they can go the same route that other people went, go to score a bit of gear, bit of heroin, and if they take it, it's not impacting them as much, so they're not dropping like flies. The jag that they've had for prison will wear off within 48 hours. So as long as somebody's not dying within 24 hours out of prison, then they can push that forward and say it was a heroin overdose. When it's readily available, if somebody was wanting to challenge it, all they need to do is take a strand of hair. In my occasion of Hurricane Henry done that.
But I think
I wasn't.
it's good, aye.
The metabolism in your system, you can check your blood or check whatever. Your hair sample retains quite a lot of. I got that through an American study, so they could actually pinpoint when that substance has been in them. So the combination, the clash between the street heroin, it might not even be strong enough for them. It's enough for them to recognise. I'm sure that the academics and the professionals involved in this knew how many people were dying and why they were dying. So why introduce this opiate jig? And that's a question that I want to ask them. Are they still doing it? And if they're still doing it, is that just to distance the problem rather than treating the issue when they're in there?
I think it's very difficult because 90% of people in the jail, Paul, are on some sort of substance.
Well, what you had in the very early days was...
was there a lot of people in the...
No, you had a lot of things. People would smoke hash. There was hard drugs in it, but very few people took the hard drugs. People nowadays, when they were getting in, know that they can't smoke cannabis because the THC level stays in the body fat, in your tissue, your metabolism for anything up to 28 days. Whereas if you're taking opiates, heroin, that you can be out your system within 48 hours or maybe even less. Slightly more or slightly, depending on how fast, how big you are and what you're doing, what you're eating. So people thought, and I know a few of them, they're going to have a weekend. They don't want to smoke hash on a Friday, Saturday and during the long bang up, Sunday, and then go back to the gym on the Monday, because they then go to dodge a kind of proverbial bullet for the mandatory drug testing teams that they've had that weekend, and that weekend they've got 28 days to get that out of the system. Whereas if they go on heroin for the Friday, the Saturday and the Sunday and try to stop it the Monday, it's already got a grip of them.
With your sentences, when you were, did you ever tempted to dabble yourself, Paul, inside there?
I've done it. I've always experimented. I experimented in the young offenders. I've experimented. One of the biggest experiments I've done was through reading Aldous Huxley's Doors of Perception on the mechanisms in the mind and using LSD.
Aye, like the acids.
Well, he used pure mescaline on the basis that it was a Native American thing to reach a point where he was aware of your subconsciousness. You could be aware of your subconsciousness when you're conscious through this psychoactive substance.
Aye.
That's how you hallucinate, because your consciousness is telling you that's what you're seeing.
Because there's a thing now called ayahuasca and DMT, which kind of takes you
Well,
to
I think that's South American. But that's a ritual that's involved in shamanism.
But they talk about all that with the mind, the subconscious and the conscience, and it takes it at a higher level.
There is elements of the drug treatment in which they would get the psychoactive drug to let them see in their own mind far greater horrors than what they would see in reality. And that's what they gave some of the combat soldiers in Vietnam, so that they can see worst images on their mind. And
that's what I think. That's where a lot of the heroin started. Was Vietnam? Was it?
No. It's not so much the heroin started in Vietnam. It was to do with a culture for the '60s, the drug culture for the '60s. That there was this leap that if somebody smokes cannabis, they're going to go into heroin. The whole point about it is if somebody's selling cannabis, they're going to be selling heroin and LSD. And sleepers and uppers and downers.
What was your experience on LSD?
I try to replicate the study. I got a notebook there. Aldous Huxley, what he done was he injected 100 milligrams of mescaline and started writing his thesis out about the Navajo tribe in America, about the young tribal people that were to go out. And the only thing that they could drink was the water for the peyote. It's pure mescaline. The only thing they could eat was the nettles off it in the pouch. And they went out on their spiritual journey in their spirit world. The ones that came back became braves. The ones that never came back weren't meant to be braves. So he was trying to replicate this in a modern day to get his study on it.
Aye, theory.
So he was writing that without the drug. He started off preparing his notes and doing what he's doing. He injected 100 milligram of mescaline or 10 milligram. I can't remember the doses, but he injected it. I was no into needles or injecting. People might laugh. I took two blotters, nowhere near his experiment, but they were fucking strong. They were strong.
And you're selling on your Peter.
Aye, and I controlled them, but I couldn't take it all now.
Aye.
But this was a Saturday, and I've got the notepad and I'm writing down my notes. But remember, I'm reading his book, and I was aware of tripping. And I turned around and I looked at the wall, and it was like cave paintings. and I thought, I need to colour these in because I want to study it the next morning. Or I want to study it, right? So anyway, got these ink markers. You're allowed ink markers and pens, and it's like primitive cave drawings. You know, like wee guys running with arrows,
Spears
and bison.
and Egyptian tombs and that.
No, it wasn't as.
Aye, but
It wasn't as
wee arrows
artistic
and
as
that.
that. It was a way back.
Maybe if you took 5.
It was stick man and like primitive, very, very primitive cave drawings. And I copied them and then left it. And then when I came off it and came to the whole thing about it is if you take loads of sugar, it kind of reduces
Levels
it.
you up.
Aye. So I done that, and the reason why I done that is because on a Saturday night they open you up just to give you a cup of tea.
Aye.
And when they opened this cell door, there was that, what do you call it, the GBX anthems. Everybody's playing different music. It was like a remix. And I'm thinking, I've not got that track. That's a fucking. And it wasn't. It's just that your sense of hearing.
Your senses, aye.
And I thought, that's a brilliant track. And it wasn't. It was just different people.
That's how a lot of people go to dances for leckies and asses because
one of the things that I'm promoting and one of the things I want to do is the people with my age group is very reminiscent of the 60s where you had people who maybe would have been my parents that going to psychoactive drug parties with LSD. And then when you go to the MDMA, when I first tried it, it's something in which there's a potential to use it for good because I never seen any violence, never heard any violence. Matter of fact, one of the things is when I get a 3-year sentence for firearms in 1985, 86, the environment then was like Dire Straits, Pink Floyd, and a few other bands of that time. When I get released, I get picked up with a friend of mine in a stolen Porsche with this music belting at it, and I'm going, what the fuck is that? Bangy bangy music. And he's going, that's what it's all about now. Oh, I'm like, turn it down. Now, he took us to a venue either that night or the next night, and somebody had come over and went, Paul, there you go, that's for you. And I thought, they're all junkies, they're all drug addicts, I don't take drugs. And I never knew the consequence of it until maybe half an hour later. It's actually Blink. Who came over and says, here, take half of one.
intoxicated you.
Take half of one. And so I took half of one. We were in this big mansion house. And took half of one, and then the next thing, the feet starting to go to the music. And then the next thing you're looking for, there's that other half. And before you know it, it was like, before I went to prison, the environment in nightclubs was, and I didn't really go to too many nightclubs, but I did go.
Especially if you didn't drink as
I
well.
did go for it. I took a half shandy. I did a lump drink, but it was nothing at all to do with because I was driving. It was to do with I just didn't drink.
Does it keep your senses button on?
No, nothing at all. I just none at all to do with. I didn't like drink.
How many times you been in the jail, Paul?
Too many.
Because you've been in YOs as well. You've done your 5. Did you do a 5?
I've been in. I've done the chronology. Is in 1981. I was sentenced to 3 months in the shock therapy, which was called the detention centre in Glenorchy. I then got an 18 months young offenders sentence that saved me from doing Borstal. A 12-month sentence, and then the adult prison. I got the first sentence I got was 18 months. I served that in Ballini. The second adult sentence was 3 years. I spent that in Shotts prison, and then the accumulated one in London. It was. You sure they don't know what you're doing?
I'm starting to think there, mate. I'm starting to panic when I walk out that door in case there's armed
Take my
response.
mind off that.
In case there's armed response out there.
No, in 1997, I was sentenced to a total of 45 years. And I thought,
45?
45 years.
Fucking
That
hell.
was 10 year, 10 year. 10 year, 10 year. No, sorry, 15 year, 15 year, and 10 year.
That all ran concurrent?
Well, I thought I heard it wrong. I'm sure he said concurrent, but you don't get the opportunity to say, hold on a minute, you're wrong there.
Repeat that.
It's just, I've always been dignified and I've never shouted and bawled in court because what are you going to do, handcuffed?
That's what they want as well.
Of course it is. So by the time I went down the stairs, I knew there was something wrong somewhere, and then they took us back up. The judge exceeded his powers, so I get 10 years, 10 years, and 5 years concurrent. And then what they did in England was because there was 2 different conspiracies. I had a walk-on conspiracy, and they give numbers, a numerical sequence on who the primary one was, who's number 1, number 2, number 3. Anybody in the English system will know this. And for your listeners who don't know the system, number 1 gets the maximum. Number 2 doesn't get as much as that. Number 3 will not get any more than that. So because I was in the walk-on conspiracy, I was number 1. But I was never number 1 in the totality of the big conspiracy. So when he exceeded his powers by 15 years, would give me 15-year sentence. It was never done through an appeal. It was an immediate backup. The prosecution apologised to the judge, Henry Blacksall, because he should have gave him an indication of what the sentencing guidelines were. And because he never gave him the sentencing guidelines, he took for granted that he knew what they were, but he exceeded his powers. And that's when you had the newspaper article, Ferris thanks them for 10 years. I never thanked him for 10 years, I thanked him for reducing it.
For 25?
No, for 15 to 10. And making it concurrent. You know, but somebody will turn that, even the court reporters who were sitting there and done the story.
Take it out of context.
No, they want to take it out of context because it doesn't suit their agenda. And then, going further on in that, you go to the appeal court when everybody, the 2 conspiracies have been dealt with through the judiciary, through the due process, and the number 1 who was manufacturing the weapons got 8 years.
That was your biggest sentence?
So I've got to get mine reduced to 7, which I did. So I done 4 years, 8 months.
One of your biggest cases, obviously, with Arthur Thompson Jr. When you got remanded for that, I think it's one of the biggest Scottish cases ever. And what was the process for you in there when you were doing remand? Because I think there was over 300 witnesses as well in that case.
The process of the remand was I was familiar with what they call the punishment block. People know it as the Wendy house because it was like designed as not as a doll's house, but it's just a sterile area where if somebody kicks off, they're there for punishment. I was aware of it. I get took there for reception because in Scotland you've not got a category system as such, whereas if they believe that you've got the funds or access to individuals to aid and help to escape, the security within the prison is their remit to make sure you don't escape, pose a threat to the public or anybody to help you. So while I was on remand in the segregation unit, I was held in solitary confinement for 8 months. I was held under conditions that I met no other prisoners. I was held under conditions that I couldn't even cuddle my own family because it's behind a bulletproof screen. And the reason why all that's in place is in case even the visitors turn up and hand you a handgun to escape. And I kept saying, and why would I want to escape? That's like an admission of guilt. And they laughed, they thought the funny side of it. But it was all to do with psychology. There was good screws, there was bad screws, and there was some evil fuckers lighting newspapers and putting under your door.
Was that?
And talking through the side of the door to tell me how I was going to end up like my 2 friends who were shot dead in the car. And that was good because all I asked him to do was open the spy hole so I could see who he was. He's obviously brave enough to come to the door. This is the forerunner of the keyboard gangster. So if he never opened the spy hole, I can't see who it is, so he can squeak through the door, whatever threats he's going to do.
So that's to try and intimidate you?
Trying to intimidate me. So for 8 months, the lights on, if you can imagine, every 15 minutes your spy hole getting lifted up and down, it becomes like a ticking a clock. So under the conditions, I read a lot, I studied a lot. You tend to find out who you are in the conditions. But as I said, there was good ones that intervened, but they couldn't be seen to be intervening because I'm the devil in disguise as far as everybody else is concerned.
Number 1 target.
And when the whole charade blows up in their face about a confession that I'm supposed to have made to an individual who turns out to be, people called this Dennis Wilkinson a supergrass. He was never a supergrass, he was a serial perjurer. For your audience, a supergrass is somebody who has worked in criminal enterprises with 2 or more people for many jobs, and they then go and help the authorities and turn on the people who they worked with. They become a supergrass then. When somebody's inventing confessions for a whole variety of different people, they're committing perjury on a frequent basis, so therefore they're a serial perjurer. And without him, there wouldn't be a trial. That's why I asked on the steps of the High Court an archive footage for a public inquiry, and nothing was done. So people say to me, you were lucky to go to that trial. Maybe I was. That was because I was astute enough to know the system, and it was astute enough to sit there and listen to this star crown witness swearing in his 2 kids' dead ashes that what I said to him was true when his kids were alive and well, and the prosecution knew exactly that he was a convicted pervert, a sex offender. And I used to look at the prosecution every day and call them perverts until Donald Finlay told me to behave myself. So I behaved myself because that's his environment, James. If there's no point in me, I know what I was wanting to do. I was wanting to make a point and do something, but
when you get charged, how long was it when you get remanded? How many days after?
For charge to remand, 8 months.
And when you were in there, your 2 pals, is it Bobby Glover, Joe Hanlon, 2 very good friends of yours, well, that's when you were in remand. Your head must have been scrambled as well. It must have been a tough time for your life.
It was. That's why the newspaper would get put under my door. That's the whole time. They try to break you. They try to wear you down.
But do you think that gave you the more fire to go on and fight even further?
No, because there was an element before then when I was on the young offenders in Gangland when I was 17. An accident happened in the dining hall where a friend of mine was involved in a fight, and you get up to get your lunch or your dinner, you've got a steel tray, James, and there's portions on the tray. Something happened and this guy was going to get it anyway in the exercise yard. So I went to throw the tray and it was like a frisbee. It missed everybody in the prison officer right in the side of the fucking head. And nobody else saw it apart from the one behind the where they served the food. And he looked right at me and went, fucking saw that. So I got right kicking. I get dragged all the way down to Longregan's segregation unit, and they put us on an escape protocol, which means you've got to give them your clothes out. Now at that time I had maybe 80% body mass psoriasis. You've got to take your clothes off in front of them. Totally embarrassed. But here we are, and if you don't take them off, they're going to drag them off you. So I've took the clothes off. They gave me pyjamas to put on, a pair of slippers, and then the door shuts. And then it gets opened again for you. You don't see any the prison officers, it's giving you this. And on one occasion there was a scuffle outside the cell with me and a prison officer that resulted in the buttons coming off my pyjama top and flung back in the cell with one slipper. I know I'm laughing, but maybe I shouldn't laugh. But it is funny, and I think
You've got to laugh and all,
but if you can imagine this scenario, it all happens that quick that, and it's fucking cold in these places as well. Putting your foot in the slipper, you can't get 2 feet in the one slipper, so you're using it like a skateboard or a surfboard just to stand off the cold floor. With your shirt tied, the pyjama bottom tied, and just looking at your environment and going, how the fuck did you get here? We saw this about one slipper, and I remember as a kid having a skateboard, and you go away and memorise, and that's when I tapped into my faith, the faith that I was brought up to believe in as being a Catholic. And I've never explained this, James, and it might take a lot of people be surprised, but I'm going to, it's no hold bars. Ask for help for my faith and what I believed in. I never got it. And the only way I can describe the inner madness was watching the actor that played one of the innocents that were convicted of the pub bombings of Birmingham 6, wrapping tape on his head and mumbling and fucking all that. I could relate to that. I never had any tape to wrap around my head, and I just remember the mumble jumble stuff. And it got to such a stage where it reduced my body temperature. I had to take my pyjamas off and lie on the cold floor just to cool down. And asked my faith that I believed in, that I used to go to St Philomena's, and if there was a God, what the fuck's all this happening for? Maybe no swearing during this occasion. But I asked for something and I never got it, and I pushed it away. So people used to ask me, what is your religion? I was agnostic after that, became agnostic after that. Some people say, well, you shouldn't have got nothing and that's what happens to you, and fair enough, that's what it's all about. But what I did learn is, don't ask for yourself, ask for other people and hope to fuck that they're asking for you. Because I re-engaged with religion back in Ballina. I was reading books and different things like that.
When you got your not guilty, was there a time, when did you know you were going to get away with it? Just on the day when it got read out?
I was reading books while I was on remand in Ballina. One of the books was called The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail. And it was to do with a big question for people who are brought up in Catholicism to be a Catholic, to ask a specific question, but a big question, and I'm not here to dismiss any religion, to do with a thesis in the book on the basis that did somebody sacrifice themselves to let the main guy go? And to ask a Catholic, who is that on your cross? It's a big question. This is an academic thesis, and the reason why I got to know about it was because they wouldn't allow us to go to chapel at that stage. So how the priest came in was, I'm reading the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail book, and part of it comes into John chapter whatever. If you're familiar with the Bible, then you can carry on reading. this book was intervening so many times. Matthew this, John this, Luke this, and I thought, pressed the buzzer, the screw came up, and said, how can I help you, Paul? And I looked him right in the eye, and I know what he's thinking. I said, I'd like to get access to a Bible, please. Okay. And it's the first time my door was ever shut quietly. Because they thought, obviously, I've flipped, I've gone.
You lose your nut.
Not only did they bring the Bible, they brought a priest with the Bible to say, is everything all right? And again, laughing, I shouldn't laugh, but people who know about the situation is, when this priest saw that
I'm
book,
laughing.
when that priest saw that book, the Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, it was like something at The Exorcist, you know, what you read and that sort of thing. So it was an academic study, so anyway, they went away, and I thought, what the fuck is a priest coming in to see me? So that's what it was. So then I was able to go back to the book and go and get the Bible and go, so that's what John's saying about that, that's what Matthew's saying about that, so I can educate myself more on where it's came from. The strange thing with the Bible, I'm sure it was a Gideon's Bible, but there's an almanac in the back that's perpetual. So January the 1st will be, go and read this page. January the 2nd will read this page. The whole idea is, if you're reading something every day on that calendar, you've read the Bible that year. So I look at astrology, I look at a wide variety of different things. I look at elements in which I've had to sit and listen to somebody swearing on their 2 kids' dead ashes, that what they were saying was true. And I couldn't even look at the jury, because they don't know the kids are alive and well. I don't even know the kids are alive and well. And I used to think, matter of fact, I went back that night, James, and the first thing I done was open the Bible to see what it was that day. And whatever day it is, not correspond with it. I've no time to look at it, and it's a special moment, this one. Because on that bit, it was to do with Proverbs. And it was something to do with, don't fear the serpent with the forked tongue that bears false witness against you. And I dropped the fucking book. I got a tingling feeling right through me. Couldn't believe it. But one thing I did say to myself was, I'm going to mention that one day. And I'll mention it on the basis. No, it wasn't some divine intervention. It was something that helped guide me through a process. And when I done that, it was like an inner voice saying to me, you better come back. Words to that effect, I don't remember it all, but we don't want 99% faith. You've either got all the faith or you've got nothing. What have you got to lose? And I had nothing to lose. So I put my faith back in that again. That's where I got my strength for it.
And like I say, it was a dark place in your life, and when you got your not guilty, Paul, how was your life coming out there? Because you can remember, everybody's probably seen the footage just on at the High Court.
Shouldn't have been there in the first place.
And like I say, when you got a not guilty for that, were you feared for were you in danger of your life, or were you at that stage where you want to care again?
You've got the public perception, the Godfather, right? Truly, the Godfather has got hitmen, bodyguards, cleaners, for want of a better word, and freelancers, all want to do different things, right? If I didn't know him, I'd have believed that. I used to be part of that system that he had and what the papers are talking about. So I knew the strength and weaknesses. None of it to do with anything. The fact remained about it was I asked for public inquiry. I had no fear about my life. People said I should have left Glasgow, but I never. The people who were outside that court, I'm not walking away for them. Matter of fact, I had a situation where what came out during the trial was, and I didn't want to hurt MD's feelings. I was in a relationship with 2 different people, and I shouldn't have been.
The murders,
I couldn't go over to one, another one.
The murders of Arthur Thompson Jr., Bobby and Joe, your friends, they're still unsolved. Do you know who done them?
Even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. You know, so there's a situation where there's a lot of people want to speculate what they've done and all the rest of it, and they'll speculate to they're blue in the face.
So when you came out then, what did you do with your life then, when you came out of that trial? What was your?
I mean, the whole point of that, I never knew I was going to do that day, James. I never organised transport. There's no, if you know that you're getting released, then you can arrange for somebody to come and pick you up or do what you're doing. I don't know if the jury's going to believe this guy, purely on the basis that the judge, Lord McCluskey, in his summation to the jury, did say to them, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what you've got to remember, even the worst of liars may tell the truth one time. And I thought, he just fucking... I thought they would believe them, would. But do you know something? Ever since I dropped that book, I had 100% faith. And I had that faith all the way through it until I walked out that door, to an extent that probably the last day of the trial, I left a note on my prison desk with chocolates and different things like that. Excuse me, and I put on it, if you find this letter, because I know there are no prisoners, because it's prison officers. If you find this note, then I won't be back. I'll be away to the Bahamas somewhere. Have your tea, have your coffees, have whatever's in here, and go and do what you want to do. And then I'm going back to court. And on the way to court, maybe 2 weeks before it, 3 weeks before it, it's like the helicopter. They're looking for Hannibal Lecter in this fucking van. The public, they never stopped for a good excuse for driving through a red light. they never stopped. But what I remember is the familiarity with police officers, court staff. And as I said before, there's good and bad in every department and in every walk of life. But this usual police officer in the back of the van, the court escort that keeps you in the van and then takes you up and done, had said to me at one occasion, do you think your trial will last until the end of June, Paul? And I laughed and I went, fucking hope no. I says, I'm out of here on the 12th and I'm away. I'm out of here on the 12th at 3:30 and I'll be in the Bahamas by Monday morning. And he laughed, and I laughed because it was only a joke. While we're sitting there, they could have returned a verdict on the Thursday. That was a throwaway comment. On the Friday, they returned a verdict at 3:30, and by 4:45, the reason I know it's 4:45, I'm walking down the stairs and there's a clock, and I see this guy, police officer, that's due to take me back to either start a sentence or to wait for the jury to come back again. And I put my hand out and I went, I've done it last, James. I said, I need to apologise to you. For? I said, I was 15 minutes out.
So you're near enough, right?
I was just by accident. But I kept my faith all through there. And I did promise to myself, I'll go to chapel when I can. I'm not a religious zealot. I'm somebody who's engaged a wee bit back, and it's not at all to do with Catholicism, you know. I don't put myself into a box. I'm somebody who would never criticise a religion. If somebody believes in their religion and it's helping them, I can only give my experiences. But I know I've let the big man upstairs down for a wee while because I ended up back in Belmar.
See, when you came out again, Paul, because you've, like I say, Reg Mackay, you did 4 books with Reg Mackay, you've just released your 5th book, which we'll touch on. We'll touch on it. I know that Reg Mackay was actually a social worker, which I think a lot of people don't know. What gave you the idea to write your first book, The Conspiracy?
That came through the total accident. I'd been reading that much nonsense in the newspapers. And then there was a provision, you were able to get the dates, and no doubt your listeners would know the dates, where legislation was passed that would allow you access to freedom of information. I think it was the year 2000, I'm not too sure. But a lot of people in prison were asking to get access to their prison files to see what probation I've got for them, what security or whatever it is. You never get the full thing, but if somebody's looking to get parole, which I was, there's no doubt about it. There's a lot of questions on the reason why I was asking for it, James, is because I knew I wasn't getting it. If I said I don't want parole, then it gives them a sufficient reason, doing it. So I've done my parole requests, done all the courses, and then you get access to your prison file, non-sensitive material. Everybody who will remember the old Glasgow Herald being a broadsheet, and when they bring a broadsheet, you used to think when you bought that you were kind of well read, because it wasn't a tabloid paper. You need to have big arms to read it, the wee man reading the big paper sort of thing. And during the course of the 1992 trial, the chief crimes correspondent in the Herald was called Carol Gordon. And I think it was because of the fact that they could get a lot of content material in, whereas the other tabloids, the Daily Record and the Sun, if it was good for the defence, you get a sidebar. If it was good for the prosecution, front page or whatever it is. As the Herald was just consistent, maybe because of the size and content, which drove me to write a letter to say I think it was a fair and honest, balanced view from prison that I'm reading that other people are reading about the trial, because I'm aware of my mum. Her attitude is that if it's in the newspaper, son, it must be true. So my mum didn't read the Herald; she read something else. It becomes significant because how can you reduce a broadsheet into an A4 size paper? I've got connections enough, being involved in business, to shrink it with an industrial printer. So somebody's had an industrial printer, got this copied and put it into my file regarding a spurious, bogus Crown Office letter that said that I'd been working with the Crown authorities for many years, and the letter was used in 1992. The real reason for the letter was to prevent people from going as a defence witness for me. Whoever signed it, we got them at court to say that, is that your signature? Matter of fact, it was a guy called Alfred Vanett whose alleged signature was supposed to be on it. And because he was such a high-ranking senior Crown Office official, the defence weren't allowed to call him. The prosecution had to call him because it's the Crown. He explained under oath that the letter's bogus, it's not even his signature, so it was dismissed. Carol Gordon had wrote that in his own newspaper. But yet, I'm reading the same newspaper with a different crime correspondent called James Freeman, who said the words that he had seen proof positive of my informant status, and mentions this letter that's in my file. And it's already been in my file for 2 years. Fuck knows who's saying that. So I decided that I'm taking him to court. And the reason why I was taking him to court, and people understand that you've either got a character to defend in law and such, or you've not. Anybody with criminal convictions hasn't got a leg to stand on. Anybody that's in prison with criminal conviction, whatever, already have bad character. What we were going for was a malicious falsehood on the basis that if he knew what he was writing for, he was writing for members of Strathclyde Police, hoping the agenda that I would get killed in prison, or assaulted, or stabbed, or whatever. That's that whole agenda. It's a dangerous agenda, and it had to be addressed. And the best way to address it was, it cost me £1,500 for a QC's assessment on the malicious falsehood. And the malicious falsehood would have stacked up because even in the own Herald archives is Carol Gordon's letter that was used as a defence production. I brought it to court to show to the jury, no physically show it, I brought it to the attention of my solicitors, who checked it all out, who that then became a defence production, was to demonstrate to the jury that if people were wanting to go to this extent to prevent people to come and give evidence for me, what else are they doing? Mm-hmm. And what mechanisms are in place to protect my defence witnesses? Because I know it's there to protect the Crown witnesses. So during that transitional period, this is what I'm fighting. I'm fighting a legal battle. And I came back for the gym one day and there's a bundle of letters, but one in particular handwritten on the front envelope. And I opened it up and I burst out laughing. Fucking Reg Mackay. I'd never seen Reg since I was 16, that interview in Long Regent. And Reg, the reason why he contacted me because he was wanting to write a book about Black Hill, about his story. He'd been a senior social worker. The fatalities that happened in Black Hill when they had industrial alcohol and poaching, and I think there was a few fatalities and a few people were seriously ill and blinded. And I thought, you want to fucking write a book? You want to know who the Grassies are? I'm your man. And I sent a short letter away to him, and it came back. He would love to do it, but I couldn't get him cleared to come and visit me for my security clearance. So I wrote the Ferris conspiracy with Reg without actually meeting him. We done it over the phone. We done it covertly through Reg sending letters to other people. I get banned for speaking to Reg by the security. Otherwise, they're going to cut off all my communication. And luckily enough, Reg's wife is called Jerry, short for Geraldine. So I used to phone up, and as soon as Reg would answer, I'd say, "Is that you, Jerry?" "Aye." "Pass this on to Reg, will you? This boy's looking for the 20 quid to get sent into him for his canteen. That's my code sent to him, send them this documentation on. That's not even on my wing. So when I go to the gymnasium, I didn't do any weights. I done the circuit training, exercise bike, rowing machine, soft tennis, badminton, all the rest of it. But the whole purpose of going to the gym, in order to keep fit as well, but was to collect my documentation from Reg, who sent in to somebody else in another part of the prison. That's how we wrote the first book.
How long did it take you to write, going through that?
Nearly a year. Nearly a year, aye.
But you've done it.
Well, for 2000, it was published in 2000.
Do you think that broke up your time in the jail?
It did.
Give you something to focus on?
It did. But what Reg had said was, I ended up filling so many notepads out for him and just sending it direct to Jerry. And one of the things, and he was specific about, he said, "Paul, you need to lose the venom. You're coming too venomous, and you're very pictorial in your writing," which is true because it's a memory recall you're writing about, whereas writers write about writing.
So when you're writing it, you're a bit angry and...
Aye, so what he done as an exercise was maybe that much paperwork that I've wrote, and I get that much back in typed up, and do you know what? It's a lot better. You'll notice this yourself, being long-winded. I've been called long-winded, but as long as you get the
I've
element...
been called worse, believe it.
That's so far. When you get a situation where I think it's important, even if people think you're long-winded enough, it's important enough to clarify the position in the event that you've said enough about an issue that people have got either the flavour of what you're talking about or want to hear more of it.
Obviously, you wrote 4 books with Reg. You've got your 5th book, it's just been released, which is absolutely brilliant, by the way. How are you feeling writing that without Reg? Because Reg passed away, God rest him, but were you struggling with it? Or?
No. The book is for Reg. It's Reg's book. If it wasn't for Reg, there wouldn't be a tribute book to Reg. People think it's my book. It's not my book. I was involved in a partnership with Steve Wraith and Stuart Wheatman. It was a team effort. I worked under their rules, about how they're doing it, as part of a team. And we done it. They done a fantastic job. The focus on it was the remit. I'll bring what Reg had said, keep your powder dry for the audio tapes and all the other stuff that we had put by. Because when Reg was diagnosed the having cancer, I never realised how severe it was. So when I was sitting in a familiar environment, just like a lounge like this in Reg's own home, we were familiar writing all the books, and I know there's not going to be another book. It's an uncomfortable conversation. It's a bit like going to visit somebody in prison, and you don't talk about you're going to the pub, you're going for a night out. It's a cosmetic conversation. People who are listening will know this. people that have got, they don't know the time scale, a week to live, 2 weeks to live, I don't know. I knew there was never going to be any book. But Reggie's got his glass of wine and his cigarette, and we're calling the book Gangster Chronicles Unfinished Business. And then we get to chapter headings. That's how we'd formatted the other one. So we get to this bit about we're going to use the powder, son. We're going to rip Paul, we're using this powder we've been keeping dry. Okay. What's the chapter then? Things gone. He stood up, put his glass in, went, we'll call it Fuck It. And I thought, you can't, I think I said, you can't call it Fuck It. There was never going to be any book.
So
I
you went
stood
along with it?
clicked the glass, here's to Fuck It, Reg. And then we sat down and spoke about, that was a book done. When you came up next. And within that period that he died. So when I was asked about the obvious absence of writing any other books, was with out of respect to Reg, my partner, that I wouldn't write another book. And it was Steve Wraith that asked me the question. So when I told Steve the only way I would do another book is a tribute to Reg, we have done it, a fantastic tribute. It will be there, enshrined forever, purely because Reg should have been recognised as an author in his own right and his own work when he was alive. As much as I've got grief for the Daily Record and the Sunday Mail, they had the decency to give him an award. That was his pride of joy.
Best-selling books.
Pride of joy.
Do you think Reg played a big part in your life, Paul, to change your way of thinking and change it to...
I know what he was doing. He done it. He done it brilliantly. When we were sitting, Reg and I used to have really in-depth conversations. I know he's saying to me, I'm still your social worker. I'm treating you as a social worker. So he's analysed me, using all his skills to see if this is all. And the things I'm telling you, I couldn't believe that were true. Same with my lawyer. My lawyer, Peter Forbes at the time, who was a court-appointed solicitor when I was 16. Same way I went Reg. During a lengthy conversation with my solicitor, he said at one point, Paul, with you and your cases, sometimes facts are far greater to believe than fiction. So Reg came to the same thing, going, you're some man. And I know he was analysing what I'm saying to him, but I became aware that I'm helping myself while I'm writing. People call it cathartic, people call it beneficial for you.
Therapy for you.
But Reg came away with, and I mentioned a few other things about what should be happening, like fate, karma, what's for you, all the cliches, and he went, it's called serendipity, Paul. And I thought, wow.
Good word.
What the fuck's happening? So I had to say, Reg, for the benefit of that, do you expect me to maybe go and visit some people on Blackhill or the schemes, and they bypass and they say, oh, Paul, I've not seen you for a while. So that's serendipity. I've saw you met into you today. And they go, hey, he's lost the plot. He's at a dictionary or something. Right, so there would be an issue there that I promised Reg. I said, I will mention that and I will describe what it means according to how I interpret it. It's finding something that you're never meant to find that turns out beneficial. That's what serendipity is.
A great word.
And that's something that will be a tribute to Reg. So to me, I always had Reggie's inner voice saying to me, keep it real, tell it how it is, produce the documentation. Now's the time for you maybe to shut the fuck up and let them read. So I might be accused of a lot of things, but I'm not a ventriloquist. I wasn't on the audio tapes. 7 police officers were on audio tapes. The transcripts are there, the tapes are available. Crown Office, I've got copies. So as far as legal position is concerned, the fact that I was trying to take them to court in the first place, and the Daily Record, and the Sunday Mail, and a few other ones, I decided hopefully the book will be such, the Ferris conspiracy, that it will be legally sound because it's going to open up a can of worms. So if they want to take me to court for the Ferris conspiracy, great, because I would take it, I would be defending myself. Same with this one. It's no repetition of other books. The new material it's in, it's never been published. It's to do with secret audio tape. And for anybody who has not read the book, I won't spoil it for them. But they don't all die in the end.
Aye. How can people buy your book? Where can they buy it, Paul?
They can buy it through Amazon. It became a #1 bestseller on the first week of the new year.
Amazing, congratulations.
Aye, but it's a team effort. I take part of the credit. Reg would be giving us a salute. We were trying to get it a Christmas #1, but what Steve Wraith and Stu Wheatman said is, we've got a long year ahead, Paul. We'd rather have a #1 this year than say, oh, our book was #1 last year, even though it's only a couple of weeks apart.
Do you get any hassle for the Polish still, Paul?
No, I think what's happened is that most have got body cams on now, or they should wear body cams because it would save any allegations. I think the younger generation that are joining the police are joining it for the right reasons. There's still a lot of old dinosaurs in there that are threatening people who used to be police officers to keep their mouth shut. And how they keep their mouth shut is if you open your mouth, you're going to lose your pension. I'm sure there's a lot of them want to come out and talk about it, but you get the odd crackpot like Pitbull Gallagher want to promote his book. And if he's going to do a book, do a real one. Don't get caught out telling lies about how important he was, that he was the first guy on the scene. It was a crime scene. It was taped off before he even got anywhere. And all the other things about offering Bobby Glover, Joe Hanlon a square go. I know enough about Joe. I'm not comparing Bobby Glover or Joe Hanlon, but Joe Hanlon would have flung him about like a wet capatraki, and they know what that is in government. No, I would have. So they're not fighting and fought. Never mind two of them, for fuck's sake. So it's all right him saying that, having a dig at me because my friends are dead, but what he makes a mistake at then, and what a lot of other people make a mistake at then is, I'm alive, and I'll not have anything bad said about them.
Still, which is
all the
respect
time,
to your
everything.
friends, aye. And how did the film come about? To make a blockbuster film, Paul, a boy for fucking Blackhill, to be writing best-selling books, to then be making a blockbuster film. How did that come about? And how do you feel with doing all that? Do you know that you're doing it? See, when you're actually living these things and you're actually doing them yourself, do you realise how well you've done through your life, how you've been involved into what you're doing now? I think it's a good achievement.
It's another journey, and we go back to that word, serendipity.
I'm going to be using that, so if you hear anybody for Postal using it, it came from Paul first, but I'm stealing it.
No, but the issue came to light when I was arrested with the security services in London, along with my co-accused, Arthur Sutty. Arthur Sutty read the book and gave it to his mate called Joey Pyle. Anybody in England who knows who Joey Pyle is. Joey thought it was such a great book that it should be a movie. He then contacted his media contact, a guy called Wilf Pine. Anybody for the benefit who doesn't know who Wilf Pine is, Wilf Pine was one of the first guys to meet the mafia in America. Wilf was a recording music guru. He was Ozzy Osbourne tour manager. He had recording studios and access. So it's his department. And then I get contacted separately to look at the situation after it happened with Bobby Carlyle, to contact Ray Burgess, who was not in exile in France, but he was a producer. He lived on a bay and he had a few other things under his belt. And it was through a friend in Islington that went to a different university that I went to, and Ray went to a different university and became an actor-director. So we'd mutual friends in that area, so we kind of got hold of a director. What we were needing was a producer and film company to take it on. That's where Wilf Pine came into it. He got Carnaby International involved in it. And I met Mike Loveday, who owned Carnaby International. Absolute really, really nice. They call him Diamond Geezers. Really nice guy, very well educated, and I never knew he was ex-military. You know, so he's very disciplined. Mike loved it. But all that happened again through accident, through fate, karma, serendipity, and it came to the movie in itself. And the movie in itself, there is elements of faction in it, but you're right, James. You have got to take a step back and say, this is all part of a learning curve, because it stems from a situation in which I was took for Ballini prison one time in the 1980s, 1985, to the Sheriff Court to be granted High Court bail. And I met with my solicitor, which is normal. He's come in to say, Paul, congratulations, you get bail, you've got to get out. And he was stunned when I told him I don't want bail, I just want to get back. Because the reason for giving you bail is because the clock stops ticking on your remand. I wanted to get back in. Not only that, I had the fear that they will do what they're going to do, what they've done in Rossi.
Try and kill you.
I've already got the audio tapes that correspond with it, and the threat says, if you hear another serving police officer talking to one of your friends that says, remember Russell, it's a big outfit, the police, if you want to take it on, son. And don't be threatening police because your wee pal Paul tried it once in Rossi with George Dixon. And I can tell you here now, if you're serious about making any threats to any police officer, you'll go on a night fishing trip and no coming back either. Because wee Paul was very nearly away for a walk in the campuses. On record. I've not said that. As I said to you before, I can be accused of a lot of things. I'm not a ventriloquist. They've said that. That's what's in the new book. That's what the powder getting kept dry about. That's the public inquiry that I've been asking for. And it's only a matter of time before the bubble bursts somewhere for somebody to turn around and say, was he right all along? Or was he telling lies all along? I'm not into politics because this is a political end game. This is to do with the judiciary in Scotland. This is to do with the judiciary in the UK when they brought up the rent a witness, the serial perjurer, no Supergrass, serial perjurer, who they knew his background. They knew he was a pervert, they knew he was a rapist, they knew he told lies in previous High Court cases. And I'm reading about cases where he's went in and swore people's ashes, swore people's lives away. And I get a rerun that I'm sitting in the dock at High Court, I'm rerunning somebody's life. Unfortunately, they get 15 years. The guy spent the first 5 years in solitary confinement, lost his dad, lost members of his family, couldn't get out, fucked his head up. And his name's Danny Vaughan. And he came from Liverpool, and he was part of the transit gang robbery crew. Admittedly, he's no an angel. He never fucking confessed to nothing. But this guy had to suffer all this. So when you get back through and looking at books and movies, and the thing regarding what my solicitor said to us when I told him I didn't want any bail, I felt comfortable and safe in prison, James, to be honest with you. Because I knew for the cops to come in, they need to break in and do all that. So I felt a bit safer. I just wanted to get it all done with.
Am I hearing any whispers of a second film, Paul? Is this true?
There is.
Any elaborate on it?
The thing about it there is there's two options to it. One, it involves a plan B. And the plan B is Martin Compston's got to drop not only his bird, but maybe a zero.
I'll do it. I'll do
a
it.
zero face time.
I'll do it.
Because I don't think... what I'd like to do is, there's talk about young Daniel Kerr maybe taking over for another part of it. Martin Compston is... his stock has went through the roof. I don't even know if he would want to do it, and to be quite honest with you, James, I don't think any production company could afford them at this stage.
He's getting bigger, isn't he?
So I think the way it's heading just now is we're going to look at a docudrama where, like you and I are having a chat, it'll fade into a reenactment, and we take it further, because there's a different market for generating like multi-million pounds. Well, no multi-million. It was £4.3 million for the last budget. What you've got now is with Amazon,
Netflix.
Netflix. I mean, Netflix now have been recognised for the first time for so many awards for their their productions, for their Oscars. So the way ahead it is, do people want to go to the cinema now? Some of them do, but if you want to sit back, bear in mind, when people invest in this industry, for an industry insider, they want to protect their assets. They want to protect what you're doing. Your podcast is your asset. You want to ring fence your intellectual property. The same way that when people do movies, we were working on the basis that when the Wee Man gets released in DVD, the bars will be selling a copy within 24 hours.
Aye, 24
Yeah,
minutes.
So
Aye.
you go for the music industry, people have done that and looking to get an income for the music industry. Mine's has never been about a financial reward, because there's not that much rewards in it, to be fair. I done it on the basis that my solicitor said to us at the Sheriff Court, you need to take bail, Paul, because they'll just throw you out. He said, and if you think that the cops are going to kill you and you've got any remit, we know about the tapes, if they're going to do it, there's nothing I can do and there's nothing you can do other than the fact that you better go and make sure that you make yourself so much in the public eye, it'll make it harder for them to do it. And the first place I went when I get released was up to Ballina, collected all my belongings. I went right down to the Sun, Scottish Sun news offices, and met Derek Stewart Brown and a guy called Stephen Wilkie. And that's when I learned about Sub Judas. They couldn't print nothing because there's a trial to go. But at least somebody had the decency to listen.
But to do all that and all, Paul, your wee mum must have been proud, to see.
My
what
mum,
you'd done with the film and that.
I don't know. I think with mums, they're always proud of you anyway. Whatever you're doing. My mum didn't like the books. She didn't like the movies. She was just a wee quiet person, wanted to go on with things. So she never read any of the books and she never saw the movie.
But to change your life, obviously watching the movie, all the stuff that's in it, the shootings, the stabbings, the corruption. I know.
Can I stop you there,
Yeah.
James? We'll see all that after the first release in London. I had to go back and meet investors, and the first 5 investors, 2 old ladies of the first one. You've mentioned the gunfire, the bullets, the bodies, and their first question to me was, what happened to your dog, son? And I told them a wee story about the dog. And then somebody else, the first 3 people, I had to kind of look out at Ray Burdis and ask, can I have a word with him? What's wrong? I said, you fucking get me out of here. Look at all these bullets flying about. And I said, the first 5 people asked me about a dog. Next time it tells me, somebody asked me about the dog, I need to tell them how it died. And that's the way it was. But there is critics. It wasn't shot in Glasgow because the irony would be the powder is dry has been there. They know I've got the audio tapes. They would feel fencing off a road for a production company to make a movie on something that they thought the audio tapes was going to be in the movie. They panicked too much. They blamed the Glasgow Film Council. Glasgow Film Council blamed them.
Could you have used the audios?
I'm doing the next one.
I want a part.
And I'll be filming in Glasgow the next one. And I hope to be co-directing it.
Because what's your story? So it'd be ideal if you did.
No, it's just something in which there's elements within the Wee Man is a collection and a collaboration of the Ferris conspiracy, vendetta, and villains. That's under contractual stuff with Carnaby. What's fresh and uncumbered for a visual project is unfinished business, the putting the conspiracy to rest. So it dovetails. The reason for this first book was to get all this out, to look at what was in my what was in my prison file. For me to write about, you want to know what's going on? let me tell you what's going on. Losing the venom, keeping the flavour, keeping the powder dry. We would have got around to using the audio tapes, but unfortunately, again, fate played its hand and Reg is no longer here.
See, if I know this is an important date for you as well, Paul, but just before we finish up, the January.
Yeah.
How is this an important date for you?
Well, the 21st of January 2002 was when I was released for custody after spending the sentence in England for the firearms charges. Now, people ask, well, why did you not get a transfer back to Scotland? And the people who are listening to this will know about the Scottish system, and there's no cooking facilities, there's no cookers, you can't get up in the morning and go and make a breakfast. If you've got 5 different kinds of pot noodle, and you're doing well, and a microwave, if you get access to it. We were having meals that Chinese prisoners were making for themselves, Asian people were making for themselves, and the only thing that was missing for me during this period in time would have been a wee bit of haggis. So,
You like your haggis, didn't you?
17 years free. Reg always said maybe 5 years and see what happens, Paul. 7 years, he'd said, but time giving the guy a break. I don't need MD to give me a break because it's to do with your words and your deeds. People talk about rehabilitation. Doesn't happen in prison. You might get the spark for that to ignite it, and it does ignite it. It's what you do when you get out. It counts.
Actions speak louder than words as well. You're
Oh,
acting on it,
yeah.
like I say. 5 books, Paul. Blockbuster film. You're now doing things, you want to do things for the prison. You're now talking about the medication stuff, the pharmaceutical drugs, methadone. You want to give back to the people, which I believe is an amazing thing.
I think more people need to be educated on the reality of where we are. I only know about it. I'm not an expert. It's an informed opinion because I've travelled the path. But there will be a few people in positions of power and employment that will have to justify their position, the previous predecessors' position, as well as justifying budgets. There's taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer. I've been paying fortunes in tax. There's tax on tax. There's too much taxpayers' money getting wasted. And it's the same taxpayers that vote. It's the same people who vote to get these people in. And it's the same people who need to even listen or read and say, is that guy right? What if he is? What if I'm not? What if I'm not right, then let it continue.
But you're a prime example, Paul, that people can change. No matter what age, no matter what you've been through, you can change. For any listeners and people watching, what would you give for anybody that's want to get involved in a life of crime and think it's a great life, watch a couple of films and think, that's what I want to do?
Well, I'm not going to sit and be a hypocrite and say it wasn't worth it. I'm not going to sit and be a hypocrite and say don't do it. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say do what I done. It's good if you're involved in crime or you're thinking of getting involved in crime. It's good. It is really good until the lights go out. And then you stumble about in a dark room trying to find a light switch. And then you find out what prison's all about. You find out what the heartache it is when you're sitting at a table and your family walk up, sit up and walk out the place. You try and explain that to these people. And it's all about risk taking. If people want to take risks, they know the risks they're going to take. I'm not going to sit and be a hypocrite, James, and say it wasn't worth it. It was then. It's not worth it in the long run, to me. But I'm not going to say to people, people might need to go and put food on the table. They're taking a chance in doing it. The rewards for what they're going to be doing, hopefully they think it's a reward enough, but there's more to life than going through something like that. Somebody that's been brought up in a middle class background with wealthy parents, they don't need to commit a crime. They do white collar stuff, it's no crime. You get people from my grassroots, for the streets, that's grown up, that try to do something like that, but you'll be in prison in 2 minutes. So is crime worth it in the end? Only if you're a politician. Because that's where all the real gangsters are. And they can get away with it, with badges and people that they'll just dismiss it and they'll sweep stuff under the carpet. The carpet that I've got looks like one of them Saudi Arabian double humped camel. It's going to be so obvious one day that they need to address the issue. they all wanted to avoid it and dive for cover. So when we get to that issue, is crime worth it? It must be, because they've went through all the bit and still getting their pensions. Because see, if crime wasn't worth it, the ones who are still getting their pensions shouldn't be getting them. So it's a double-edged sword. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'll try and answer it as best as I can. And hopefully that younger guys looking up to people like me, don't waste your years in school. I call it 13 years I went to go to university, and I spent in university, but it was no a university of my choice. They've got the choice, and I hope they take it without the finger waving exercise. So that would be my advice, James.
Spot on, Paul. Listen, you've been an absolute phenomenal guest, and
Thank you.
for you to take the time out here and tell your story, because I know digging up the past and talking about that, it's not easy for people, but we should also make a point that you have done well for your life. You've wrote the books, you've making your film, and you also whispers as you're making a second film, which Paul's actually giving us a wee part. So thanks, Paul. Let us say,
You could be my stunt double. No, I get thrown out a 9-story window. So if you're
I'll not take that part of me when I drive or something. But unbelievable story, mate. And like I say, people are going to be loving you coming on the date and telling your story. And I appreciate it.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for
Pleasure,
your time, Paul.
absolute pleasure.
Listen,
James.
thanks again. And for anybody, get Paul's books, Amazon, check them out. Amazing. So thank you, Paul.
And Mojo Rising, don't
and
forget
Mojo
that.
Rising. Thank you.
All right, pleasure. Thanks, James.